That's no
All
problem.
right, cool. I'll let you know when I think I just hit the button. I'm used to there being this 6 minute intro screen, so I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that it'll I just want to make sure that we're live before we keep going. Yeah, we're live. We have to be live.
Okay, and if you want to tweet out the link, I'll retweet it so people see on my end.
Yes, let me do that. What's up, y'all? It's Steven and Doug. We are live. We see there's people in the chat already. What's up, Jordan? What's up, Bob? I think Corey was in here earlier. Anyone who's in here, feel free to keep going in the chat. We're just tweeting out some links, and then we'll kind of really get going here.
And I'm not seeing like the chat or anything, so it's all on you, Steve. Like, just read whatever and let me know what's being said and stuff.
Okay, cool. We got Cool King in the chat. We got Corey still in the chat. Bob still in the chat. Cool. People are trickling in. What's up, y'all? Doug, if you want to, Kogan's here. If Doug, if you just want to kind of go over just kind of who you are for the people that might be new for you being here on this channel, while I'm getting these links out.
Cool. I'm Doug Bateman. I've been involved with YouTube since I was like 24, and I'm 37 now, so you can do the math there, like '06, something like that. Um, Kind of done like me and my buddy Bill, we made it pretty big on YouTube, promoting TNA and talking about how the WWE sucks and lets their fans down and all that stuff. And then we just kind of let it go after a while, and then I've kind of kept up with it off and on, and now I'm just trying to build it back. I've kind of rebranded the page. It's called Hit You with the Real. And it's just going to be basically my thoughts and opinions on wrestling, fighting, movies, TV shows, whatever I want to talk about. Football, I'm a big Cowboys fan. Um, and so, yeah, it's going to be a little bit different, but I want to have people on. Like, me and Steven have done this on my page before. So if you're interested in that, check it out as well. And I'm pretty well versed in all things wrestling and MMA, and me and Steven always have a good conversation.
Yeah, and it's funny because I talk to you more often than I talk to most people at this point because I'm always at home. So
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there either working on something or just watching some bullshit on TV, and then I'll just get hit. Doug would have hit me up with you see this action figure, and I'm just like, shit. I'm having a. That's a whole rabbit hole that we're gonna probably go down on the show quite a bit. Me and
Yeah.
Doug have become quite the avid collectors of. I mean, he
Yes.
collects freaking everything. I mainly collect
Yes.
wrestling and a little bit of I've gotten my brother into starting lineups, so he collects starting autographed starting lineups now. He's got a little collection now.
Okay.
So
Okay. I had starting lineups. You know what I used to do with those? I used to take their heads off and put them on my GI Joes back in the day. So I was a customizer before it was, because who didn't want like a Barry Sanders action figure? You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, you still
But
do that shit. You I'll get messages from you where you're Frankensteining all of your AEW figures. Well, not all of them, but your
well, what's so great about the AEW figures is like you literally can just pop off joints like no problem. You can take off a torso and put it on another torso. In like the WWE Elites, you have to crack it. Like you
mm,
have to have tools and you have to crack it and you have to shave down things, and like it's not fun. But with the way that they built them, and what's funny is I think they built it by accident like that. Like they did not mean it to be like that, but now it's perfect. Because can you imagine when there's like 300 figures of AEW out there and you can just take off a head and put it on another body and just like swap them out, or put on a torso, put it on a different torso? Like it's going to be like limitless. So I think it's just genius.
yeah, dude. I mean, I'm pretty sure didn't Jeremy and those guys that been doing interviews say it was a mistake to do that? Like they were like, oh yeah, we didn't even
Yeah.
realize, but yeah, it's kind of worked out perfect. Um,
Oh yeah.
dude,
I mean, there's certain things that like the scale of Dustin drives me crazy. Hangman's feet, I absolutely
You
hate.
messaged me a lot
Um,
about that. You're like, dude.
oh, like there's got to be something done. There's a reason why they already are making another Hangman. They botched that one bad. Um, but overall, like there's some really killer figures.
Oh yeah, I mean, so I have like the wall next to me on this side is pretty much all AEW. It's like the one that I always take pictures of, and I'm very proud of. And then over on this side is like just a bunch of random stuff. But I'm like still chipping away at the Just Toys Bendums because like I'm so close to like getting all of them that I'm like I might as well just keep
Yep.
finding them here and there. Except
Hey, listen, I like the fact that you're not just doing one thing. Like that's collecting, man. You got to go all in on everything. This is that like on this side I have a Mandalorian figure, I have a Jerry the King Lawler, I have the Spider-Man figures from the Spider-Verse. I have the Ghostbuster figures. I bought all four of the plasma ones that are like made by Hasbro so I can have the Ghostbusters. But I don't need the villains. I don't need all that stuff. I just want the four Ghostbusters, right? Just like I want the four Turtles, which I have. The two Back to the Future figures. And yeah, and then I've just got figures that are already open that are just like chilling on my desk. The figures up top are absolutely ridiculous. Like I've got to put all that under there. I don't know. The thing that stresses me out the most is just the real estate.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. It's like when you run out of room as a figure collector, it's the worst feeling in the world.
Dude, last night I was sitting here in this exact chair. It's got a little massager on the back, and I was just sitting here at like 2, 3 in the morning, chilling, just staring at my AEW figs. And I was thinking like, okay, the next series is coming out. We know who it is, and then we know who the next. We've already bought those. Now there's going to be the next series after, and we already know the sculpts for those. So I'm already like figuring in my head, like, all right, I only have so much room. I'm gonna have to, so I'm gonna keep my series 1 on its own shelf as like just like the OG, like all the old like the Star Wars, like the first 12 that everyone always talks about. Like those are the AEW ones. Boom, and then I've got it now where I'm like, okay, we'll already have Pac and the Lucha Brothers from different series. I'll just put them together as Death Triangle and a little spot over here. And now we got it, and now I'm just figuring, well then, and then I have it all in my head, right, Doug? I'm like, all right, like this is all going to make sense. Then I was like, oh, but there's also the TNT Cody that's coming. I don't even, now I've got to figure this into how this is going to work. Cause that's going to have to be in like the center. Cause that figure's incredible.
And not only that, you've got the other Cody, right? Cause you've ordered the ringside Cody. And then you got the other Cody that's coming out. And not only that, that comes with an extra head. And then you have the other. So now you have 3 heads of Cody that have no figures. There's going to be. And so, like, it just gets out of hand, Awesome. Like, and then, Jeremy was all like showing the Cody in a suit, which was just a joke. But, like, that's going to happen. Like, there will be Cody in a suit. And, like, it just. How many Codys can you do? How many, it just gets out of hand.
The sad thing, though, for me is, like, because I want to collect, at this point, I've tried to collect all of them, right? But I've already taught you, like, at some point, when people keep getting re-released in, like, their 3rd and 4th figure, I probably won't, like, I'll go back at some point and try to get those to complete the set. But the problem for me, though, is, like, I do want every single Cody because, like, Cody's, like, my dude that, like, I want to collect for the most. So, and of course, he's getting the most figures. So every time a new Cody, I know, exactly. I picked the, I wish I was still as into Jericho because he's got, like, 2 of them in, like, a chase. It's like,
trust me, he'll have more.
Sure.
The one that he needs one with the spike jacket.
Yeah.
Like I think that one, like they did like a ringside exclusive with like the spike jacket. I think that would be really dope.
Sick. A little bit of the bubbly was real dope. The whole
thing. Or the paint maker with the face paint and the whole 9 there. Like I think that would be really cool too.
Yeah, I agree. What were you saying before? I think I cut you off.
Oh no, it's just. The figures, like what's kind of cool about AEW and even some of these WWE elites is like so many of these guys were indie stars that you never thought you were going to get a legit figure of. And so like those are the ones that get me. Like if I see the Johnny Garganos and the Champas and like those type of guys. I'll want those way more than the Roman Reigns and all those. Like I want the guys that I thought I would never get. So like Kushida is supposed to have a figure coming out soon, and like I have to get it. Like New Japan, the whole nine. So there's certain guys like that like I have to get. So yeah, and they do sell pretty well. So because at the end of the day, this is an adult hobby now. This is not for kids. They can say whatever they want, but it's not. And the way that adults play with toys is organization. Like that's really what it is. They pose them to put on their shelf.
Yep.
And that's how they play with them.
Yep.
Like
that's the truth.
I don't have wrestling matches and all this stuff. I don't do the fig photography. I don't have the fig fed and actually like literally have matches and all, but like I will pose these guys, I will put them the way that I want, and I will constantly move them around. So
yeah, I almost had a little fig fed match in here alone by myself last night. I was sitting there staring at my AEW figures like I was saying, and I was looking around. I got a little collection of BCAs like underneath my Bendums, and I was looking at my little Triple H, my little Ahmed Johnson sitting there, and I was like, I wonder what would happen if I picked both these guys up and started playing around. And I didn't do it. But then I started thinking to myself, like, there are people out there. I mean, I could never. Have you ever actually listened to like Cardona doing his like?
Did you see the one where he set the guy on fire? No. Where he set Kane on fire?
I have not. I can't. I love those guys, but dude, I can't like.
I didn't watch, but they just showed that like a clip where Matt went too far, and he took like a freaking lighter and like the like something to spray, and he literally put Kane on fire.
Oh, no.
And everybody was like, "Oh my God, what is he doing?" Like, no, don't do that. So like, yeah, no, I'm not that guy at all.
It's too funny.
And that's the problem too. I think like, and we can talk about this, but like, does kayfabe need to have some type of relevance in it at all? Like,
what do you mean?
Like, how can Matt Cardona and Brian Myers be feuding on Impact, but then be like, let's talk about weekly purchases and let's you were with me at my house this weekend, and like, and Matt Cardona's talking about wanting to be the champion in Impact. Like, I can't buy that when all that stuff is going on. Like,
I know that. I know that you were in the Fightful Twitch chat for at least a little while on Tuesday. We actually talked about this a little bit. Did you hear us talking about that at all?
I mean, I heard them basically say that kayfabe is dead.
Yeah.
And I think it is. I think people understand it, but don't rub it in their face. Because, like, I think a lot of people had a problem with Omega and Jericho after their match getting on Talk is Jericho and just talking about how they did everything and all this stuff. Like, people still wanted to feel like, like, we all know the gig is rigged, but, like, don't just explain everything to us and insult us with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
And it's okay once it's over and it's been years. Then you go back and revisit it. That's when it's fine. But like right after, like, ugh.
Yeah, no, I agree.
like what if Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens did a podcast right after Royal Rumble and was just like, dude, like those stupid handcuffs, and like I'm like barely holding on, I'm exhausted, and I had to figure out a way to like make it not look stupid, and it's just like, at some point you can't give everything away.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. Like, they're vlogging during the shows and stuff, and like, it is strange. Like, kayfabe's definitely dead, but at the same time, like, I do agree, because that is something I was saying as well, is like, it's weird to even see Myers as a heel, to be honest. Because, because what he's like, if you follow the YouTube channel. I know not everyone follows that channel, but I feel like enough people follow that channel, especially in comparison to, like, not that many people really watch Impact if like we're being honest about it. So like,
Oh yeah,
you know,
definitely.
so I bet you there's a lot of people watching Impact because of those guys, because there's probably people watching the major network, and then they're like, oh, I love these guys. Like, I haven't really been watching them wrestle, but I want to support them. And then they tune in
Right.
Impact Wrestling. And then Myers is like this dick. And just a minute ago, you saw him like buying Toy Story figures for his daughter or something. And you're like,
Right.
We did get a super chat though. I want to get to that before we miss that.
Yeah, go.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. Ahmed's father actually passed away like a few days ago. He was on the stream in the chat.
Oh, wow.
So thank you very much, Ahmed, for the super chat. It's very, very generous of you. And, I've been thinking about you and all that since, you told me that the other day. He says, first time seeing you, Doug. Good to have you on. Awesome. Opinions on Sting in AEW so far. He wants both of our opinions on that. So, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick though, I just want to talk to him for a second because I've lost my dad, so I know what that's like. When my dad died, like it took a really long time, maybe like a month before like I really like allowed myself to think that he's gone. So like you would go to the grocery store or something, you'd be like, oh, my dad would really like that. Oh yeah, he's gone. Like it takes a while before that like registers. And I still think about my dad like every day. And honestly, I don't feel like I'm the same person. My dad's been gone for 4 years and I don't feel as happy and I don't feel as like the same type of person that I was before. It changed me kind of forever. The circle of life really was like put into perspective when my dad passed, because it's like you just feel like you're not that far from going yourself. So I just want to tell him like that's how I went through, how I felt, how I still feel. It's normal. And there's going to be good days, and then there's just going to be like a song that'll come on and it'll remind you of your dad, and you'll just be like, wow, so just hang in there, man. And I know it's brutal, and it's one of those things that like it's okay to be sad about it for a long time, because it there's no blueprint on how to deal with it. So about Sting, I like that Sting is involved in the company. I think it's great to have him on promotional posters. I think it's great to have him in a video game, figures, all that good stuff. But I do think that I think they use him too much. I think he shows up every week, and it's just to show up, right? And at some point, Team Taz shouldn't be afraid of him because he's never really hit them or done anything that's a real threat to them. So, like, I just kind of like, whatever. I am looking forward to see what they do in their cinematic match, because I do think that Sting is a creative guy. I mean, he's come up with the Joker gimmick. He's come up with the Crow Sting and all that other stuff. So I do think him and Darby are both creative, right? So I do think a cinematic match with them could be very cool. I liked that promo where they were kind of in that like abandoned warehouse and Sting like smashed those windows out and stuff. Like, I hope that that's kind of the vibe. Maybe even get some rain in there, like the old Starcade 97 like commercial vibe. Yeah. I think that would be really cool. I like his entrance too, the snow. I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, like I like him in the company, but I do think he's kind of overused.
Yeah, the snow reminds me of Glacier, so that's always cool.
He makes it cool though. Glacier ruins snow. Okay?
Remember Glacier? I don't know how close you were following WCW back then, but that was like, I was a big WCW fan, like over WWF up until towards the end, and like at one point Kaz Hayashi bought Glacier's entrance on the show and started coming out with like the snow and stuff, and so I figure Sting probably bought it from Kaz Hayashi. But
Kaz Hayashi, holy moly!
But
right on.
But no, so there's a few different ways I kind of feel about Sting, but in all honesty, like I really love what they're doing with him, because this is like exactly the fantasy booking of what I was saying before Sting came in. I was always like, if Sting came into the company, I want to see him and Darby Allin together, and like that's actually what they're doing. So I'm like, I'm not gonna be mad that like they're actually just doing exactly what we all. Something I love about AEW is they're not just out there just swerving to swerve all the time. Like they have these long-term stories that make sense, and they just do this. I mean, there's little swerves here and there, like, but it's like I think we all saw Kenny Omega being the one to beat Moxley eventually, and the story made sense, and it was all there. We didn't see the heel turn coming probably, but like then there's all these stories. Like I feel like Hangman will eventually beat Omega. I feel like the story is there. I think it's going to take like another year before it happens, but eventually I think Hangman takes that belt from Omega. And if that happens, like I'm happy. Like even though it's predictable, like when FTR came into the company, it's like we know that it's going to be them and the Young Bucks. We know that but it's like that's what we want to see. Like I'm glad they're doing it. And then the other thing with Sting is there's a lot of people that don't want to see him wrestle again. And I know this is going to be a cinematic match, and like they'll have a lot of shortcuts for this one. But I have no problem with Sting wrestling another match or however many match. Like if Edge can get cleared, if Daniel Bryan can get cleared, if Christian can get cleared, if enough time has passed and he is healed, I'm because he doesn't want to go out as the guy who finally came to WWE, got jobbed out. I mean, he lost to upper tier guys, but like essentially got jobbed out in front of the WWE universe and got almost paralyzed in the ring in his last match. And of course that's what's like makes it weird to say like I want to see him wrestle again, but he hasn't been in the ring for like 5 or 6 years or whatever, and he might be totally healed from that at this point. So I'm fine with seeing him in there and trying to like go out on a different. I don't want to see like the Undertaker situation where like he keeps chasing the dragon to get one more good match, but like let him in there, like let him have another. If they can get Sting in there in a real match against Cody and a real match against Darby, and he puts Darby over on the way out, like that's the way to go.
Well, see, and that's the thing is, I think the ultimate would be him and Darby, right? Because they're going to build that relationship, and then eventually it'll be broken. And the great thing is Darby can take all the bumps, and Sting will have a huge size advantage, so it'll be kind of the big man, small man match. And I think that they could pull it off. I'm with you for the most part. I just, sometimes these guys need a boss, which is Tony Khan, right? But like sometimes they can't stop themselves, and we don't want an Undertaker situation where like it's literally like watching that documentary, like it's literally sad to just like that he can't let it go. And people are still concerned right now that he can't let it go.
Right.
Like, yeah, right now it's all good and it's cool, but like at some point, like, it gets ugly. Because I remember Taker Mania guaranteed to be great, especially towards the end.
Yeah.
And then, like, that Roman match happened, and it was like, oh, this is over.
I was live at that.
Like,
I was live at that one. I was like, this sucks.
Yeah. And then it was like, oh, he stayed too late. And then he kept wrestling. And then the Goldberg match happened. Ugh. And it was like, God, dude, you're going to get killed in there. Like, this is bad. So, yeah, I don't want Sting to be in that position. But I do think that Sting, done right, you know, at the end of the day, AEW has 4 pay-per-views, right? I think Sting could wrestle those 4 pay-per-views.
Sure.
I think he does a cinematic match, and then these next 3 after that, I think that you could find a way to get Sting on the card.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I mean, the Undertaker thing, I feel like he isn't done. I really do. Like I think I don't think he's gonna go out on the AJ. I think the Boneyard thing was good, but like I just really imagine. I mean, this is super unlikely, but like imagine if Tony Khan just threw him a shit ton of money and was like, "We'll do you and Sting. Like we'll do it." You know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know? I mean, the crazy thing about Tony Khan is he has the money. Like, people don't realize when they talk about all this, like, he can't work with New Japan, he can't work with Impact, he can't work with Ring of Honor. It's like he could probably buy all those companies. Like, you know what I mean? Like if he wanted to work with,
he's got to convince his dad that it's a worthy investment, and that could be tough because his dad just doesn't understand to a certain extent. But um, it just sucks, man, because before the pandemic, they were on such a high, and who knows where they would be at this point if the pandemic never hit.
yeah,
Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like they were, because like you were talking about Hangman, I think Hangman's completely on hold until crowds are back. I just don't think that they want to go there until crowds are back. So, um, people are like, wow, he's really fallen off. I mean, I can't explain to you how over he was
when I think that, and I
before
think
that.
the story is like him hitting his rock bottom before he like makes that
Yeah,
climb. Like I think they're trying to make him as low as possible. Like right now,
right.
like he just feels like a total loner, doesn't want to.
Nobody try. Right now, it feels like he's about to turn heel, honestly, but not like a heel as in like cocky with Kenny Omega heel, but like I don't trust anyone. I'm out. I'm all for myself. Like, just almost could be psychotic. Like I think that he could be like a guy that just could break at any moment type. And but I think when crowds come back, he snaps out of it and becomes like babyface Adam. We get cowboy shit, we get all that stuff going on, and then it's boom, it's off to the races.
Hell yeah. We got to.
And it could be something too where the point to like Adam is like kind of a heel, but then he meets even worse cocky Kenny Omega, who basically tells him that he's a nothing and a nobody, and then that kind of like sparks it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would like that too. There's so much stuff they can do with all that. We got a couple super chats and donations here.
Cool.
Ahmed with another super chat. Thank you so much, dude. Says I agree. He is being used too much. I think he's talking about Sting. If Team
Yeah.
Taz would jump Darby and he comes to hit and fight, it would be good. Too.
Right. Which is he's basically like saying like Sting needs to look like a threat. That's what I'm saying. Like Sting can't just show up and then they just immediately run. Like Sting has to show why they would be afraid of him. And it's not just because you got an old man in face paint with a baseball bat. You know what I mean? Like he needs to hit them with it.
Yeah, I agree with what y'all are saying for sure. I have seen because I've even seen people on Twitter like they say pretty much the same thing where like they see Team Taz or they see someone or other and they're like, I bet you any second now Sting's just gonna come out and do nothing and then like that'll be it again. Like it's like the same, but I am really looking forward to seeing like the first time he like puts his hands on like Ricky Starks or something. Like that's gonna be.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
And Starks will sell the piss out of it, so like it'll look
yeah.
great.
We had another super chat from Kogan. Thank you, Kogan. Um, it says, "Hey Doug, just throwing this out. If you were serious about a discussion on Star Wars sequels, I'm still up for it. Gotta find a time that works." So that's for you, Doug, to answer there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm definitely up for it. Like it's a very hot debate. Let me just say this. Like you watched Hogan when he was Mr. America,
Of
right?
course.
Okay, so if Hulk Hogan, right, like if he was you grew up with him as a kid, Hulkamania's running wild, the whole thing, right? And then he just like, okay, let's say after Yokozuna, right, when he won the title and then he lost at King of the Ring and it was over, Hulkamania was over, and he just went away, right? Completely gone. And then he comes back as Mr. America. Would you be happy with that?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's a total
Right?
disaster.
Yeah.
It's a total disaster, right? It doesn't represent what he was. I mean, yeah, he represented like the American dream or whatever and all that, but like, no, I didn't want to see that version. I want Hulkamania. I want Hulk Hogan.
Sure.
Well, that's what Star Wars did with Luke Skywalker. Okay,
Oh.
next.
Oh. Okay. So, yeah.
Yeah, so like you had a version that was just like a completely different version, and then when you meet Old Man Skywalker, he is the complete opposite of everything that he was from the other one. And then he he never really gets to redeem himself till the very end, but like that's not what fans wanted. And so I think that is what really steers the controversy is how they treated Luke Skywalker.
Really? Okay. See, I didn't
Yeah.
know. Of course, Star Wars is not my wheelhouse. I don't want to upset anybody. I tried recently on a couple movies, and it just wasn't for me. Sorry. Dude, I tried a couple of those Marvel movies also. It was just starting too slow, and I just couldn't. And they were like 3 hours long. Dude,
Oh,
I I wound up
Steven.
watching Fast and Furious instead.
Oh,
Uh,
Steven. The payoff is unbelievable, though. Like, if it starts slow, just damn it, it's good. I promise.
I mean, I believe you. I just have to. I mean, it's a hurdle for me of like how long these things are before I'm like, all right, where's like, why is this so good? Like, it's gotta show me why this is so good.
You know that Mania is 6 hours, and you watch it. Like, and you know that you're gonna go through some
Yeah,
torture.
of course.
But you still watch it because you're waiting for the mid card main event, the main event, and all that. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I guess.
Deal with the torture.
I guess. Except I'm invested in that stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah,
You could be the other way too, but it's okay. It's
all
fine.
good.
It's
All
fine.
good. But thank you, Kogan, for the super chat. That's very much appreciated. Um, well, yeah. What else is there? I mean, there's a ton of
Oh,
stuff.
let's talk New Japan.
Okay.
So, what are your dream scenarios with New
There's too
Japan?
many. I mean, the obvious one is Ibushi and Omega title versus title. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the match.
Yeah.
But I mean,
The story of that would be incredible.
yeah,
If they really could pull it off, like, whoa. It'd be about betrayal and about like love and just like they could really pull something special. So I am all for that one. It seems like to me though that this Bullet Club thing is in the works. Like the fact I knew something was up when Omega wore the Bullet Club shirt at the TNA pay per
right.
view because you can't do that. You cannot wear that. That's a New Japan property. And then you had Gallows have Bullet Club stuff on his tights, and so I was like, well, what the hell is going on,
Yeah.
right? And then they did the Too Sweet thing, and it was like on AEW, and I was just like, man, like there's something in the works here. And I had heard that when that guy left in New Japan, like the door was open.
Right.
So I was thinking to myself, I was like, okay. And then, man, when Kenta showed up, like that sealed the deal. Like I knew Moxley attacking Kenta was cool and all, but like that's happened before. We've seen Moxley in New Japan, but we've never seen them return the favor. And so when Kenta showed up, and then not only showed up, he's gonna wrestle the next week. It's like, damn, okay, so they actually are cool with each other. So, and I think if there wasn't this pandemic and like travel issues and stuff, I think this thing could be freaking wild.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be incredible. I mean, they're just
Like, could you imagine an AEW New Japan show in Madison Square Garden like they did with ROH, but with AEW? Like, the draw would be huge.
yeah, that'd be freaking incredible. And there's just so many options. I mean, it's like because like I really want to see Minoru Suzuki in AEW. I just think that'd just be wild to be able to see that.
Who do you want to see him face, though?
Dude, like I don't care. I don't even care anyone. I put Kingston. I don't.
Good God.
Like,
Okay.
yeah, King.
I can see, like, Ishii and Kingston.
Yeah, dude, Ishii in AEW
Yeah.
would be incredible. Ishii
Yeah.
and Archer. I don't know if that ever happened in New Japan. That probably happened at some point in New Japan.
It's probably in a G1 or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know, if our boy Shibata could ever get cleared, oof,
Oh, God.
that'd
No, that would be so
be the
great.
greatest.
Give me Shibata and Phoenix.
Oh yeah.
Crap out of
Oh,
each
and then
other.
Osprey in AEW.
That's my dream. You know Osprey's my
Yeah.
guy. So
Osprey
Yeah.
versus Pac, AEW.
Yeah. They actually did that at RPW. It was okay. They didn't go all out like I thought they should, but it's weird though, right? Because like Pac has had matches with Omega before, but nothing was as good as that Iron Man match. Like they killed it in that Iron Man match. So I want Osprey and Omega because I think they're the best in the world. So
that'd be great.
Let's see it. You know, they wrestled once in PWG like in 2015, 2016, something like that. And then they've had a couple of tag matches and they've all been good. So, yeah, give me Osprey, Omega. Give me God, we can go all day.
I think Takahashi in AEW would be huge.
Well, and like, could you imagine Wrestle Kingdoms? Like, if you can go ahead and just add that in and have Kenny Omega at Wrestle Kingdom and bring in other guys, like, man, like the sky is the limit on that. And it makes me wonder, like, would that open the door to the WWE? Because if you see all four companies working together and you're the only one that's not, like, it has to at least make you think, like, what if we just did this for like 3 months and just did it? You know, like, I don't think necessarily that will happen. I don't, because I don't trust Vince, but I think if Triple was around, I think it could happen. Like, if Triple was the head guy, I think it could happen.
Remember, he brought in Liger for NXT that one time.
Yeah.
I mean,
so that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that they would consider it, you know?
Yeah.
But I also think that they are concerned about AEW and they really don't want it to get bigger. So I think that would be the biggest thing that they're concerned about. But, I mean, you want to talk about buzz. If Kenny Omega shows up on a Raw, like, your company is going to be buzzing.
Oh, yeah. I think I really think we're gonna see Ring of Honor get involved too. Like, I don't know why they wouldn't. Like, because I could.
Do you think there's beef there?
I mean,
because they've never gone there, and Ring of Honor didn't seem too pleased about AEW, and like, I think the whole All In thing is a something they're upset about, right? Because Ring of Honor owns that footage. So to me, I think if you're going to do it, like, you've got to give AEW the rights to that footage.
Yeah, I think they could figure it out, though. I mean, because there was also supposedly all this heat on Omega and the Young Bucks when they left New Japan and all this stuff. I mean, and then once again, money's going to settle a lot of that, too. Tony Khan could drop in a fat wad of cash to Ring of Honor and be like, let's figure this out. You know what I mean? Like,
but, like, what is in Ring of Honor that you want?
That's the thing, is like, so that's the question that a lot of people have with, I think, with AEW co-promoting with anybody, like, kind of, I mean, New Japan's a little bit of a different scenario, but
I think New Japan and AEW are the closest to talent level equal that there is. Like, I think them with Impact is just a total, like, helping hand.
Yeah.
That I don't think they get a big benefit from being with Impact, but they do get the Good Brothers. They do get Don Callis. You know, it was cool to see Private Party be able to go on Impact. So, like, I think that, like, if they could use more AEW guys on Impact, that would help them huge.
Well, I think that, honestly, the biggest plus for AEW, like, I think the biggest benefit for AEW working with Impact Wrestling is actually going to be when they start using their women. Because if they can get Jordan Grace and Gianna Perrazzo and, like, all those kind of women on AEW TV, because, like, the AEW women's division is, like, the thing that everyone's always, like, this is the one thing that needs to catch up to the rest of the show is the women's division. When they have access to those, like, top tier women from Impact, that's gonna help gonna help out the AEW women's division a ton. And then when it comes to Ring of Honor, it's the same kind of thing. If you're considering, like, they could create a really, I mean, AEW would ultimately be helping out Ring of Honor way more than Ring of Honor would be helping out AEW. But what I think it also does is, like, for Ring of Honor, it could potentially, like, they're really building up this foundation stable right now with Jonathan Gresham, Jay Lethal, Tracy Williams, Rhett Titus, like, all those guys who are, like, the pure wrestlers who are, like, trying to, like, uphold, like, this pure style. And I could see them kind of being like almost like a group that's like a part of this fight also. And then there's also Roosh as the champion who would like he'd be great against anyone in AEW or New Japan or anywhere. So they have a lot of good.
They've got Bandito, they've got Flip.
Yep.
Like I think those would both be
Shane
good.
Taylor.
Also, like, dude, if it's just a Briscoe showed up in AEW, like that would be a moment, just because that they are ROH. You know what I mean? And so, like, to see them in AEW would be really cool.
Yeah. So, like, they have, I think, just like what you're saying, I think there are certain talents that I think would be awesome to see on AEW. And then on top of that, because, like, we're also, no one's even mentioning, you know, the National Wrestling Alliance, which there's obviously involvement there, where they've been using Thunder Rosa and all that stuff. So, like,
yeah.
So I think it also just provides more like, because another complaint I've seen is like, well, AEW only has, you know, X amount of hours a week that, you know, how many people could you really put on Dynamite every week if you have this many people, and then who starts getting overshadowed? But it gives AEW that spot also to, like, you know, if we saw like Cody Rhodes wrestle on NWA Power, or like you saw you know, Private Party also over on Ring of Honor or something like that. So it's like you could see, you know what I mean? They can spread out everyone's talent amongst all the shows, and you know who's on whose brand and stuff like that.
Not only that, guys aren't getting a lot of work, right? So like if you could put them on other shows, then that helps them out too. So
yeah,
I mean, it's just man, that's a lot of egos. Oh my God,
it is.
And so and the way that I think that it has to be worked, in my opinion, is like you have to look at AEW as almost like the top dog.
Yes.
So you can't go up to Tony Khan and be like, well, my guys are going over. Like, dude, we're already doing you a real solid here. So, like, this is not going to be this whole, you know, my guys do this and you guys do this crap. Like, it's going to have to be more like, thanks for helping us out. We'll do what we need to do. And, you know, because a lot of people want Rick Swann and Omega champion versus champion. But, like, there's no way Kenny can lose that match, right? And then it's like, if Kenny's champion on both, which, you know, that's kind of the rumor that could happen, like, I don't know about that. That seems too far.
I think Omega's going to win the Impact title. I really do. Because he's already got that AAA Mega title. He's got he's the belt collector. Like, that's it.
But, dude, storyline-wise, there's only one more title to go get. Japan.
Oh, and Aldis. He can go get Aldis.
Yeah.
You know, and apparently what I've heard, the reason Aldis hasn't been involved like Thunder Rosa has, this is just what I've heard. I don't know for sure, but I've heard he's not willing to do the jobs. So, like, that's why they haven't used him.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it.
So.
And, I mean, I don't think Aldis fits in AEW. I really don't. Like, I think that he's too traditional. And I just don't really see. He works with Cody, right? Because Cody, that's more Cody's base. But how many guys are like him? There's just not a lot. And, like, dude, Magnus over AJ Styles, that era in Impact was awful. And, like, I don't want to go through that again.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever told you, but at one point in my life, I was working for AT&T in Nashville, like in like a retail store, and I randomly, and once this is in Nashville, so like Impact headquartered there and all that, and Dixie Carter's like assistant, she was like her like right hand person, was like a client of mine one day, and I only knew this because like her email address was like something at like TNAWrestling.com or something like that, and I was like, do you work for Impact or TNA at the time? And we just wound up talking. She's like, oh yeah, I'm Dixie's publicist basically. And I was like, oh, that's pretty crazy. And this was right around that time. And I was like asking her like just little things if she knew anything. And she would not stop talking about Magnus. It was like, that's all they cared about was like pushing Magnus. It was like Magnus is going to be the face of the whole thing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there like,
did you just want to give her a reality check and be like, you know, a lot of people don't like him?
Yeah, well, this is also like Hogan was still there. He was just about to leave, I think, around this time. But I just remember her talking a lot about how awesome Magnus was and how awesome Hulk Hogan was, and I was just like,
Oh god.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember I went to a house show and Magnus was champion, right? And I met Magnus actually. He was kind of a prick, but he just didn't want to be there. You could tell. But anyways, uh, they had like this is shortly after AJ had left, and they were selling like AJ merchandise on discount at the a little area at the house show, and like all of it sold out.
Yeah.
Like, everybody wanted the AJ stuff. It was like the fans felt betrayed that they moved on from AJ, and it was almost like we weren't in on the inside joke that like y'all don't really understand what you just did when you lost AJ. Like WCW just lost Sting. Like that's what happened there. Like what are you guys doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can't believe you know, you go back and you look at revisionist history on everything, and it's just like that was the moment. That was the moment that TNA died, is when AJ left.
We knew that as it was happening too. It wasn't like yeah.
You could feel it. and then but it was like the Dixie stuff and AJ, and it was like, is this real? And like, does she really think that AJ is not what, like, he's not the company, and that they'll be just fine? And then it's like, we're gonna be just fine with Magnus and EC3. Like, that's what we're doing now. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
no.
They apparently offered him like less than what he had been making the entire time he was there. Like,
and let's talk about AJ for a second, because like lately I've been chopping up all matches, and like I want the video package, I want the match, and then I'll put it like in a thing. I've got like 200 or so far, best quality I can find. And I want to have like thousands, and then I'll just turn on my Apple TV and I can just pick a match. Because when you just pick a pay-per-view and you scroll through it, it takes forever and whatever. So anyways, you go through AJ's library, and it is just the most ridiculous thing. And not just how great some of these matches are, but like how great of guys that he's wrestled.
oh yeah.
I mean, because by doing New Japan and Ring of Honor when he did it, and TNA, and the WWE, I mean, it is the freaking who's who of the industry, you know? He doesn't have Shawn Michaels, and he doesn't have Hulk Hogan or Stone Cold, or The Rock, but like, good God. He has Okada and Tanahashi and Ibushi and like just everybody. Adam Cole to Roderick Strong to Chris Hero to Joe and Angle, and I mean, it's just nuts. Scott Steiner, like Rhino and Christian, and I mean, you name it, Sting. Like it's just insane.
Hurricane
like
Helms and Velocity.
Yeah, the legacy that guy has left is crazy, and I don't think he gets enough credit for it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I'd put him over Shawn, like, all time at this point for me, like, personally. Like, if you consider, because there's certain guys like Shawn Michaels. I'd say, like, if I was talking just WWE, like, best WWE performer of all time, yeah, Shawn Michaels. Like, but if you're looking at like, because I think Jericho, that's why I think Jericho is the best ever, because like he's still doing it, and like he can go to New Japan and do it in New Japan, he can go anywhere and do it wherever, even though he's getting older in age. Like, it is pretty.
Steve, we're about to have that talk though.
Well, yeah, no.
If I'm Dana and I watch a pay-per-view, I'm like, I think we need to talk.
It depends on how this MJF thing goes, because if it winds up being awesome, like if this payoff between MJF and Jericho ends up being great, we might be right back. I mean.
So here's my thing, though. I personally think the real match is him and Sammy.
Oh yeah, well I think that him and Sammy are going to be the ones to like break. Like, I think the Inner Circle is going to turn on them. Like, I think Jericho and Sammy are going to be like aligned still after the Inner Circle flips.
See, I kind of feel like that that the Inner Circle is gonna turn on Sammy. Sammy's getting kicked out.
Yeah,
all of them, and then they'll realize that MJF was really the issue. And I can't decide if MJF is going to take over the Inner Circle and they're going to turn on Jericho. Like, there's different ways that they could go. But in my opinion, the biggest connection in the Inner Circle was Sammy and Jericho. Yeah. And I just feel like that that Jericho also would want to try to get Sammy over as much as he could, and I think that could be like a pay-per-view match. It's Jericho and Sammy.
I agree. We got a couple super chats and donations here. I don't want to forget these here. We got another one from Hogan. Says, "What's a match pairing you guys were disappointed by given the talents involved? For me, it was Eddie versus Angle. They never had the chemistry. I hope that they would have like Eddie and Ray or Angle and Benoit is kind of like his examples of like Eddie and Ray and Eddie and Benoit, but not Eddie and Angle for him. Do you have anything like that?"
First of all, I disagree. I respect your opinion, but like I think Eddie and Angle had some killer matches. WrestleMania 20, their SummerSlam match. They had some damn good matches on SmackDown. Like, I'm definitely a fan of Eddie.
They did really good stuff in that Battle Royal too, like the one where like Eddie won the Battle Royal to get to wrestle Angle. I'm pretty sure that they were in the ring together during that too, because Angle wasn't the champion yet. He like won the title. Oh no, sorry, Eddie hadn't won the title yet from Brock Lesnar. So Eddie and Angle had some good stuff going before they wound up having the WrestleMania match, and the title was involved. Anyway, sorry.
So, one that I just will never get over is Nakamura and AJ. Like, I thought that was just awful.
At Mania.
And,
yeah.
And even after that, they had those nut kicking matches where you would just keep kicking them in the balls. And, like, I thought that was going to be way better. There's got to be others. What's yours? Well, I think.
I mean...
You know, another one is that I thought would be way better is what was it? Pac and Hangman. I just didn't think that was as good as it should have been either.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like pairings, like people like matches that I thought would be good that didn't really live up to. I really don't know. Like, I'm trying to... I mean, the one that always comes to mind is, like, Goldberg versus Brock at, like, Mania. Because of, like... but that was, like, so circumstantial.
You should have known.
Yeah. Well, no, but to be fair, Goldberg versus Brock at Mania 33 I thought was great. Like, for what it was.
Because they just let it be what it should have
been. Exactly. I don't know. I'll think about that more, though, Kogan. If another one comes to mind, I'll... during the show,
They're definitely out there. I could think of some that I got to think, but I know that there's some where I'm just like, wow, that wasn't as good as I thought it would be.
Yeah. We had another...
Hogan Sting.
Well, yeah, that was Starrcade with the Bret Hart referee and all that.
Best build-up of all time, and just match sucked.
Dude, yeah. Like you were saying earlier.
The goofy finishes and all that. And you know, did you watch the Yokozuna documentary?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It was great, right? But like, man, there's something about Hogan matches and the way that they book those things.
Dude,
there's always something there.
Dude, it was so funny because I had just been talking to my brother. So my brother came over for the Royal Rumble, and he's not like a huge wrestler. I've told you before, he follows it enough because he's around me, but like doesn't watch it on his own. And as we were watching the Rumble, for some reason, I told him about how like Hulk Hogan beat Mr. Perfect in the Royal Rumble, but like the story is like Mr. Perfect was always supposed to win that match, and Hogan basically called the audible like to win the Royal Rumble instead of Mr. Perfect. And I was telling him that, and then we wound up watching the Yokozuna documentary right after that, and he was like, "Oh, Hogan did this to this guy also." And then I was like,
"Yeah, it's like there's always that goofy finish," but like, I mean, I love Hogan. Like, I'm not here to just destroy him, but the Terry Bollea man, there's definitely some shadiness to him. Like, there's no doubt about it. But like, I was ecstatic when Hogan came in and beat Yokozuna for the title. So like, I can't crap all over it, but like, as I know the business now, I understand the terrible goofiness booking of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then not only that, what I thought was even funnier was the King of the Ring, where they had like the fireball out of the camera, so he lost to Yokozuna.
Forgot all about that.
Yeah, so like it wasn't just that; it was like Yokozuna couldn't just beat him clean. He had to like get a fireball in his face to lose.
And then
so
when he tried to throw the fireball at Ultimate Warrior in WCW.
Warrior, yeah. Oh, and those are two guys that, I mean, absolutely refuse to job to each other. So, I mean, it's just a mess, those two.
Another super chat from Ahmed with a donation. Thank you very much, Ahmed. He says, not everyone watches Dark, and I don't see AEW fans watching other promotions too, unless they would take at least 1 minute footage from other shows and put it on Dynamite. Let's see, I'm not sure if I understand the what you're really saying here.
I think he's just basically saying that, like, AEW's really not putting over the other companies either. When does AEW Dynamite plug in?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And then nobody does watch Dark. A lot of people don't. Like, I'm not gonna say nobody because there's clearly people, but like, I couldn't tell you what goes on Dark. Like, I don't know any of Dark. So he's just saying that if guys get work outside of AEW or on Dark, like, are people actually going to watch it?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good...
And sometimes it's not even the worst, even if they don't watch it. Some of these guys just need experience.
Sure.
They just need to work with different workers and be on TV and, you know, all that. So even if they don't necessarily get to watch it, like, it's still good for them to get the experience.
Yeah, I think there's also something valuable to a degree about, like, how AEW keeps up with all their records. So, like, if you see someone on Dynamite and their record is, like, you know, 5-10 or something, but this is only, like, the second or third time you've seen them on Dynamite and they keep losing, and you're like, how could they be 5-10? Maybe you have somewhere where you can, like, go look at Dark and be like, oh, these guys have been winning a couple matches on Dark, so, like, they're not total... complete jobbers. Like, there's like a kind of a way of, they are getting wins, just not against the top people, and that's totally fine. Like, you need that totem pole of, like, the lower level, the mid card, the upper guys, you know. It's like, so it's almost kind of like WCW Saturday Night. Like, I'd see, like, I'd watch that show and it'd be like the Roadblock would be out there, like, getting a win, but like if you saw him on Nitro, like, the Roadblock was getting jobbed out every time, you know. So like,
well, no, sometimes be like, well, this has been happening on AEW Dark. And I'm like, oh, okay, I had no idea.
Well, but it's kind of like being the...
And they even got some guys called, they're like AEW Dark Wrestler.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah.
You don't want to be that guy because you ain't getting called up.
Yeah, I saw Aaron Solo called that on Twitter the other day.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like...
AEW Dark Wrestler.
Yeah.
Great.
It's kind of like being the elite, though, too, to a degree. Not, you know, being the elite might have like 100,000 viewers for an episode or something like that, maybe 200,000. Like, yeah. But we know Dynamite is doing, you know, 800,000, you know, stuff like that.
Right.
So there's also a big chunk of people, like I watch Being the Elite and I cover it for Fightful every weekend. So like I always watch the show. So it's like, I know that a lot of the stuff going on Dynamite is because of stuff going on Being the Elite, but I know that most people aren't going to be seeing this stuff. So it is weird.
So I haven't been watching. Is there any, like, serious storyline that they're going with, or is it just a bunch of goofy nonsense right now?
I'd have to really...
Because they always hint, like we're the Kenny and Young Bucks or something. Is that on Being the Elite, where they're like a division or anything?
So I haven't seen the newest one yet that dropped this Monday, but there's a lot of stuff with, like, Matt Hardy and Private Party.
Don't care about
there's
that.
A lot of stuff with, like, right now it hasn't been good the last few weeks in my opinion. Like, the show just
Okay.
It's basically become Being the Dark Order. Like, it's...
But this is my problem, right? If you had the Cody and Kenny storyline with the Ibushi to Golden Lovers breakup of Bucks, the whole nine, and you had that on AEW, like, I think that's one of the best storylines in the last 10 years in wrestling.
The Club is fine.
Like, I loved that. And most of that was on Being the Elite. But, like, dude, it was so good, and they did it so well. Like, I feel like AEW needs a storyline like that.
Yeah, that was super well done. That was also pre-AEW, obviously.
Yes. Like, AEW didn't even exist.
Yeah.
but they were so over. Like that's when ROH started selling 5,000 seat arenas out, and like that's when the Bullet Club shirts were going crazy and all that stuff. Like Cody as a heel is phenomenal, and like it was just so good. And like Kenny and the Bucks would have constantly come so close to making up, and then there would be something that would pull them further apart, and like they just did it so well.
Yeah. Shout out to Throwback in the chat. What's up, man? He's a avid supporter of the show. Does some of his own
Awesome.
does some of his own stuff himself. Check out his YouTube channel. Anyone here in the chat, Throwback 27. Yeah, with being the elite, dude. At one point, it was so awesome that like I remember I was hanging out with a couple buddies on it was New Year's Eve, a few years ago, and I had to get to like a spot where I could hear and look at my phone because I knew they were dropping that New Year's Eve special for being the elite, and that was the one where they revealed the AEW logo and the double or nothing,
Yep.
and I was like, this is massive, like, and it's all
Yep.
on being the elite at the time.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
But like their last show in New Japan, and like the reflections on that, and then like the storylines, like when they would have the sad music, and like when Ibushi shows up with Kenny Omega at the hotel to talk to the Bucks, like those type of cliffhangers were insane. Like it was so good.
Yeah.
And I feel like they need more segments like that on Dynamite. Like, leave cliffhanger segments like that, because the Attitude Era did that. Like you would see something there would be a match or whatever, and then there'd be something that happens backstage, and then boom, gone, and then we'll see you next week. Like stuff like that.
Oh,
like
yeah.
honestly, like the Kenta stuff, right? Like you have Kenta in the ring, what the hell is going on? And then you have the Omega interview with where Kenta and him are talking, and then like they make a match, and then it's like, because let me tell you, that Dynamite card before they made that match was looking rough, and I was like, whew, okay, because Beach Break was not very good. We can talk about that. The main event was good. The women's match was good. Everything else to me was just like, this ain't working. This fell flat. So I think that was a big moment to save it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, there was nothing like back in the '90s when like pre-internet and stuff, when like Nitro would be ending and like the NWO would be in the ring just like beating the hell out of like somebody. And then it'd be like, oh my God, here comes the Giant. The Giant's coming out to save WCW. We'll see you next Monday just to find out what happened. And it's like you had to wait an entire week to find out what happened at the end of the show.
Or Sting would come down from the rafters, or just something, or like it was just, and people are throwing crap all in the ring, and it's just like total pandemonium. Like it just looked like just madness.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, okay, now I've got to go to bed for school tomorrow. Like you're just all amped up. Yeah.
It's all I could think about in school. Also, I'd just be sitting there at my desk, like, I gotta know what happened with Sting. Like,
well, and then you're like talking to your buddies, and and then there's that WWE fan that says that Shawn Michaels could kick Sting's ass, and you're like, no, he couldn't. And, like it's just
yeah.
It was a wild time.
Those jabroni kids who would like be making fun of like Stone Cold Steve Austin, but looking at a picture of Goldberg, like didn't know the difference.
So I got another question. What do you think NXT's future is?
That's a good question. I mean, I think like when I think about NXT, the first thing I think about is they should change the day that they're on. Like they should be a
100%.
Tuesday or Thursday, or honestly, they should be on Mondays. But I know that's not going to happen. But like, if that was the show on Monday, I'd watch every Monday again. But yeah, I think they need to change the day of the week. I think, like, to be fair, AEW is the one who originally counter-programmed NXT, but then they re-counter-programmed it by going live for 2 hours at the exact same time. So they but it also...
But like NXT was solidified as the network, and you didn't have to watch it live. right?
Right.
Like it was just like, okay, whatever, I'll just catch it when it's, available. Like it was never something that you're like, I got to be there at 7 o'clock to watch NXT. Like it was nothing like that. And then they made it that way. And here's my thing: if USA got NBC Sports, right, and they're gonna start having hockey and things like that, how do you justify NXT with like 500, 600,000 people on a Wednesday to still get that time slot?
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough sell.
That's why I feel like that either they could go back to the Peacock network or the Peacock channel and be an exclusive on there to try to gain, more subscribers for Peacock, or they could sell another TV deal to NXT. You could get the NXT brand this time and sell it to whoever and put it on that network. But I just don't see them staying on USA much longer.
Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense. It's something. I mean, I don't pay attention really hardly to what's going on in NXT at all anymore, unless it's like a takeover's coming up, and I watch all the takeovers.
And see, that's the thing though. Like we love Kyle O'Reilly, we love Adam Cole, we love the Undisputed Era, we love a lot of those guys on there. But like, I don't give a crap. Like I don't watch it. I don't. Like you could if someone told me something was excellent, then I'll check it out. But like, I don't care. Yeah. And I have friends that are like, will swear up and down NXT is the best thing ever because they've never seen Ring of Honor, never seen New Japan. They don't like AEW because it's not WWE. And so like they think NXT is the coolest thing ever because they've never felt that like indie vibe and seen that type of style of wrestling before.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I thought NXT was like the greatest thing to happen in wrestling in like forever until AEW came around, and then I was like, oh, okay, well, this is more of basically. Honestly, it's the same thing. AEW and NXT are the same concept. They're both super indies. It's just one of them, 100%. One of them is actually run by people within the WWE.
That's another question. Should AEW start to become a alternative to the WWE as a mainstream wrestling product instead of a super indie?
I think they need to just keep doing exactly what they're doing and just keep growing more and more of an audience. Because I think them being a super indie makes them different enough in comparison to like, because I think they're filling the gaps for a lot of like why people don't like the WWE. You know what I mean?
My only issue with it is the roster. I just feel like that there's way better guys out there that they could take than what they've got. And I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the guys that they want to push and all that stuff. Like if Ethan Page is out there, if Ty is out there, if Tess is out there, like if you can get your roster to be way better and you're not doing it because you have Peter Avalon, like that's a problem.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that's actually going on though either. To be fair, like I don't know.
And I don't think that Tony wants to let people go during a pandemic. Like I think that that's one of the biggest issues. But to me, a great boss is the guy that can cut ties and improve his roster, like if he needs to. And I feel like a lot of these guys don't belong on AEW. Yeah, I think that they need to try to be more of. And those guys can go back to the Indies or Impact or whatever, and it will all fill out again. But right now, like, there's just a lot. Like, and this is the thing, is you needed these guys because it's a startup company, right? And you're just trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, all this stuff. At this point now, though, it's time to try to make your roster the best it can be and focus on those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just kind of depends on who's available and who's working and who isn't. Like, I think, like for instance, I don't think Miro works at all. Like, I think he's cringe. I don't, like, and he's, like, supposed to be this big star from WWE that never got his shot in WWE, and the fans were, like, clamoring for it and all that stuff. I think he's been a complete flop in AEW.
Yeah.
And...
But here's my thing. Is it him or is it his character?
Well, I also think at a certain point, I just have to be, like, kind of just look at what's in front of me and be, like, because I think there's certain guys, there's a lot of people that work for the WWE that I I really think they dropped the ball with. Like, the talent was there, and they totally dropped the ball.
Oh, for sure.
But I think
I mean, like, look at Jey Uso, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a guy that you never would think could be in a main event program with Roman and all that, and it was great. Like, they had great chemistry, great matches, like the whole nine. So, how many Jey Usos are in there? You know what I mean?
Sure, but on the flip side though, like I think that they are right about certain people too. Like I think they were just I think they were just right about Rusev. I think they were just right about Jack Swagger. I think what I mean. I think there's certain guys that like they didn't get those big pushes because the talent just actually wasn't there. As much as you may have liked them as a fan, that just wasn't like.
But see, like a Jack Swagger, I think they booked really well. But I think Miro's a disaster.
Yeah, well, and honestly, what people don't talk about, and see, Kogan says he has to head out. Thank you for joining in the chat, Kogan. We appreciate that.
Appreciate it, man. We'll try to schedule something.
But that's the thing with Rusev. Oh yeah, so like on WWE TV, nobody. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Aiden English got Rusev over, and like nobody talks about it. It's like that was the guy in the ring who created the whole Rusev Day thing, and like everyone just forgets that. I'm like, what's this guy up to? Like sign him.
And then this opens up a whole nother can of worms, and me and my buddy have talked about this as well. Is like, people go to wrestling shows now to have a party. Like, everything gets over. So something as silly as Rusev Day became over because it was like part of the party. Right. He came out, Rusev Day, all this stuff. But is it because they loved him, or is it because they loved chanting Rusev Day?
Right. They love chanting Rusev Day.
Right. So it's like, how can companies tell?
Right. Well, I'll say this. There was one great idea. Joel Pearl was on my show the other day. Guy from Fightful, awesome guy. Been doing Twitch streams with him over at Fightful Gaming. He brought up an idea for Miro that I was like, okay, that could work. They should have Miro join Team Taz. That could work. Like,
Yeah. Definitely.
That's like, okay, this is the ass-kicking Bulgarian brute guy that I've been hearing about. Like, if he goes out there and starts kicking ass.
I personally think the mistake that AEW made on him was letting him be himself.
Well,
he's a goofy video game guy that like just wants to have fun, and that's exactly what his character has been.
Yeah, and to be fair, I just don't think the whole pairing and presentation, because it also doesn't help like when you're paired with Kip Sabian, and Kip Sabian's thing is like, on Being the Elite, like his whole story is that Leva Bates beat him in a video game, Leva Bates let him win a video game, and like his like ego can't handle that she let him win in a game. Like, and it's like, cool. It's like, why would anyone? Penelope Ford is by far the most valuable of those three long term for AEW. Because she looks like a star. Like, if she can even wrestle halfway okay, like she's gonna be fine. With Sabin, I honestly think that Sabin's career is gonna be more so of like her valet, if that makes sense. Like when she becomes big, like he'll be like the one on the outside of the ring. He's okay in the ring. It's just the character and when they're like they're paying more attention to playing arcade games than like what's going on in the ring when they're getting in fights with the best friends and stuff. And this is sad because I love Orange Cassidy, Trent, and Chuck Taylor. Like, those are my guys. Like, I love those dudes. Yeah. And even I don't like the storyline. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, not only that, how much time did we have like to build up this wedding angle? Like, what was it, 5 months?
Then they do the cake thing, which is like the most predictable.
It was terrible. It was so bad. And like, I don't know. So, okay, you're good with them letting Miro go.
Well, no. So I want to preface it like, I'm not advocating anyone lose their job. Like, I'm not going to be that guy.
You want him
I'm
out
not going to be that guy. But I'll say this: like, I do think there are better options with the screen time.
I think he could really benefit from New Japan.
Yeah, if you went over there and just kicked ass and like stayed off the microphone, sure.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to be on the microphone, and you can just have killer matches with great guys and get better.
Yeah.
And then not only that, you gain credibility with the fans.
Yeah.
Because what is he? He wrestled like maybe 2-3 times this whole time he's been there.
See, speaking of someone like Ishii, like have Rusev and Ishii in New Japan. Like
hell
yeah, for sure. Rusev and Suzuki, bring over Suzuki and have him wrestle, or vice versa. Yeah, like that. Those are the kind of things. Yeah, for sure.
That's what he needs. He needs something like that, and I just don't see that in AEW. And like Sean Spears, like come on.
You've been saying that since day one, though.
It's over, but they know it. They just don't want to say it. Like, and that's what makes me nervous about the company. Is like you gotta be willing to hurt people's feelings. You just got to. You got to run a successful company. You got to just be like, yeah, it's not working out. You know, sorry, it's not. So, that's my biggest concern. Yeah. I want your boy Janela gone. I
love Joey Janela. I love him.
He can ride off in the sunset in GCW and do whatever he wants. That's where he belongs.
Oh, I disagree. I disagree with it. Like, I'm a Janela guy. I like him.
I just don't see the benefit in AEW. Like I just think that he's not a TV type guy. Maybe Impact, but man, I'm not seeing it in AEW.
I cannot wait until he has an action figure.
Oh God!
I can't wait.
I'll probably get it.
You will.
Because the thing is I respect him for being the indie guy that he is. And this is where I think AEW needs to draw that line. They need to just be like, yeah, you're not. Yeah. Like Warhorse, for example, right? Like Tony gave him a shot.
I love Warhorse though.
But Tony gave him a shot, and he wasn't a fan. So like I think we need more of that. We do not need the Pineapple Pete's in AEW. We need more of like the legit guys, and I think that would help them a lot.
Have you seen any of Shug D, Pineapple Pete? Have you seen any of his stuff lately? Like since he's left AEW, by chance?
No.
He's actually doing a pretty good character out there right now. He's basically playing the guy who's like really really pissed off that's what he had to be in AEW.
Okay.
So
I like that.
He actually had a really good match with Anthony Henry at Action Wrestling like last month. And speaking of Anthony Henry and JD Drake, the Workhorsemen, I'm not gonna say anything like specific, but like there's some serious interest right now with some pretty big companies on those two guys. So
yeah,
and they
I mean, listen, I'm not here to say they're not good. I just think that we have to. I just think if AEW is the top tier in pro wrestling with WWE, then you've got to draw the line somewhere.
I get what you're saying. I just think that our lines are a little bit different, is all.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because I think you're more of an indie fan than I am. I think that there's certain guys that are unbelievable, and I would totally welcome with open arms from the indies. But a lot of them, I just think that, and this is a thing too that's kind of at a crossroads, right? Is really the best wrestlers in the world were indies. Like in the 2016 time, like the best wrestlers in the world were all in the indies. And now that AEW has come along and others, like those guys have been signed, the indies are now kind of being what they were before the best wrestlers in the world invaded it, basically. So now it's just more like there's a certain level on the indies that aren't good enough to be on the mainstream. And I think that's where we're kind of at.
Well, that's kind of how I felt to it. Well, so our views are going to be a little different because I'm watching a lot of these guys from like some of the, like I saw Warhorse before he was Warhorse, like right out of training with Michael Elgin and like the whole, you know what I mean? Like it's like, so I like for instance, Kurt Stallion, like he's wrestling on NXT right now and 205 Live and like the Cruiserweight title mix. He was like the first ever champion at SUP in Nashville. And it's like seeing him on 205 Live. Like, so I'm always going to have like a kind of a different perspective on some of these guys. But like, It's strange because when AEW started, they did take a chunk of like the best people available from the indies, and that's
100%.
a big part of what AEW was. And
NXT rated the indies.
Yes.
Like that's so what after that it's you had the leftover.
But like, and a lot of people were worried about the indies because of that. But But to be fair, like the next group did rise. Like they do still have really good talent and they're still putting on really good shows. But now what's happening is those people, that's what the real test I think is going to be soon, is like the Blake Christians, Ben Carters, Tony Deppins, Alex Zanes, like all these kind of guys that like when they're gone, the next group, there is some incredible, like there are people ready to take those spots, but those people didn't have it's just moving so much faster now.
100%, because the door was not allowed to be open. Right. So you would have these guys be the best for like 5, 6, 7 years.
Now it's like 2-3 years,
and they were stars.
Yeah.
Like NXT didn't create stars; they bought stars. AEW didn't create stars on a lot of them; they bought stars. The guys they did create were already somewhat in the indies already, but like I give them full credit mostly for Sammy, for MJF, for Jungle Boy, and for Darby. And I've known them from the indies, but like they took the next level in AEW. So just almost like with TNA, right? Like Joe Daniels and AJ, they cut their teeth in Ring of Honor and all that, but like I didn't notice them until TNA. So that's kind of how I feel the same way with those guys.
Yeah.
But the level of like how good these guys were that just weren't allowed to be in the WWE is a totally different level than what now is out there. And I'm not talking about talent necessarily, but just like star-wise. Like these guys were huge. Kevin Steen was a huge name before going into NXT.
Yeah, that's honestly why. I mean, I know the physique and stuff was part of the whole thing, but like I was always shocked that Chris Hero was never bigger in the WWE. Like because he was so big on the indies for so long, and he's worked with all those guys, and he has the respect of everybody. And like I was always shocked.
If you would have got his call up when they were like the kings of wrestling in their prime, and they just put him right on Raw. Like, no NXT, no nothing. He went straight to Raw. Like, I think he could have been champion.
Well, and CM Punk wanted him instead of Roman in the Shield. And, like, Roman got the nod instead. And, like, that could have been a completely different...
I mean, you look at Roman. Roman is everything that... I've said this over and over again, but the moment I saw Roman, I knew he was the guy.
Yeah.
Like, I just knew it. Like, he's everything that they would want.
Yeah. We have... sorry, we had another super chat I don't want to miss out about from 15 minutes ago. Ahmed, if you're still in there, thank you for another super chat. This guy's in here killing it. Like the last few streams, Ahmed just in here just thank you. Very, very, very generous.
Ahmed, you can come to my page next time and we can do this.
Yeah. Yeah, Ahmed, you freaking rule, dude. It says, do you think Vince likes NXT? Aside from his poor choices sometimes, but I like Vince and how great he is with many. We hear more negative than positive about the guy. And yes, NXT must move to another night. So we all agree that NXT needs to move to another night. Do you think... I mean, I don't think Vince really knows much about what's going on in NXT, to be honest.
So does that mean he likes it then? Because I don't think he does.
Well, I just don't think he... I think he's probably pretty indifferent about it. It's like... It's almost... I mean, I don't want to compare the two, but it's almost like Dixie Carter's parents buying her Impact Wrestling. It's like Vince gave Triple H his thing to play with. Like he doesn't.
I think he views it as an indie. Like he's not going to watch it, and then when he gets the call up that he's being told that these guys are good, then he watches them on Raw, and then he thinks they suck, and then he's just like, nah, we'll do this with them. And I think that's been the disconnect, because if Triple H was running Raw or SmackDown, there's no way these guys would just get pushed down to the bottom.
Right. And that's what everyone's waiting for ultimately, right? Is like for Triple H to take over the mainstream product. And
I'm concerned about WWE's future with Vince because I could just see him selling out to a corporation.
Yeah.
I could see him just selling it to Fox or something, and then just somebody that just doesn't really care about wrestling takes over, and it's just a disaster. But if he really does just give it to Triple, then it's in good hands.
Yeah.
Honestly, would be interesting too is like Shawn and Triple basically run NXT, and it's like, what if Shawn and Triple ran the WWE? Like DX runs the WWE.
Yeah, the whole clique. You bring back Waltman. I think Waltman's doing some stuff with NXT here and there, and like I don't know what the hell Scott Hall's up to. I think he like disappeared from social media and stuff.
Which is probably a very bad thing.
Yeah, who knows what's going on with him? I mean, hopefully nothing. I mean, knowing his history, hopefully it's nothing serious.
That's what I'm saying. Like something like this pandemic is awful for Scott Hall.
Yeah, having to stay at home with his thoughts. Yep. Yeah. Awful. But yeah, I mean, it's just funny because there's probably also people that Triple H has in NXT that he probably purposely keeps away from Vince knowing about because like.
Well, don't you think there's something going on? Because okay, for one thing, I've heard that Shawn Michaels loves Gargano and Ciampa, right? And like, don't you think there's a reason why he still like holds on to them?
Well, I think that's also probably partly them too. I would think that.
No, definitely. Definitely, but
and by the way, it
seems like these main.
So I was gonna say, on them too. I mean, from like they don't want, like they want to stay in NXT. Not that they're like not good.
Yeah,
enough.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. It's just like Finn going back to NXT, and that's where he wants to be. Right. But like, I feel like now that there is more of a holding on to certain guys than there was before. Like. Someone like a Gargano at this point would have been called up. He's been there for a very long time, and he's kills it. But like, they know what his future would be.
He would be buried on the main roster.
205.
Yeah,
you'd be 205. Like that. It's just so like, and like to me, like I am shocked Adam Cole has not got called up yet.
Yeah, I think that's another one. Like I think that's part. Because, like, they brought him up that one time when you beat Daniel Bryan, like, whenever, like, you know, they needed the NXT people for SmackDown. And, and, you know, there's, like, that whole famous thing with the Road Dogg talking about how if he had Karrion Kross's size, Adam Cole would already be the Universal Champion and all that stuff. I think, I mean, so that, on one hand, I'm, like, really happy that he is still in NXT, and it's because... If that's what his future is, if that's how they already view the guy, and then there.
I mean, like look at Aleister Black, look at Andrade. Like these guys were killing it in NXT.
Yeah.
And now it's like, and this is my thing. If you're not gonna use them, put them on NXT if you want to compete with AEW, because if NXT still had Ricochet and Aleister Black and guys like that, like, dude, you would definitely gain more attention. Like, I just don't understand. And I think it hurts NXT in the long run because everybody knows the end game is calling these guys up, and then they're going to get squashed. So you just lose faith in the company.
It's very true. Like even someone like Keith Lee, like I don't really follow Raw too closely, but like it seems like he's already just like a non-factor, like just another guy. Like
Riddle, like it's just, if you had all those guys on NXT, now we're cooking with grease against AEW, man. Like now you could really put up a fight, but right now, like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way. Oh yeah, speaking of since we were talking about WWE, I could put this up real quick. We were talking about action figures earlier.
Yeah, let's do this.
I want to see these.
There's some bangers in there, man.
So I have not seen these yet. Doug sent me the link right before we went live. And he was like, "Hey, don't look at these. Like, give me like honest opinions." Wait, there's 165 pictures.
Just keep scrolling. It's not that bad. So scroll through most of the basics. These are just basics, which means the articulation is garbage. The head sculpt on Jeff Hardy's really good though. There is a new Austin Theory. That's a Finn. I think the head sculpt is trash. It's supposed to be like Angry
Yeah.
Finn, but I don't like it. The Austin, those are the new. I called them War Machines back in the day. I don't know what the hell their
They're
names
the
are now.
Viking Raiders now. That's like
Yeah.
that's one of the only teams where I was like, when they changed their name, I was like, I'm okay with this.
What do you think of that Austin Theory? I think that's a really
Yeah,
good one. If they made an elite out of that, like I would probably
yeah,
get
it
it.
looks. I mean, it looks just like him.
Yeah.
When does it get to the elites? How?
Well, usually they get their basic first and then they get an elite. So it sucks though, because then you end up buying the basic and then the basic is trash once you get the elite. So a lot of people don't buy basics.
Yeah.
Just they don't. But there's also a point to where guys are not good enough to get an elite in their eyes. So that's the new Bray elite. They have a basic of him, but this is the actual elite of him, of his face.
For those of you watching, like usually you can, the way I always tell is like with the torso, you can see like the difference there and like the way they can bend and stuff like that. That's an elite versus the basic.
The legs, the joints and stuff. There's way more articulation in the elites.
There you go. The AEW figures are like super elites, like that orange cast.
So there's Cross.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
I got to get that one.
There's his elite. Oh, is that his? Oh, that is his elite. Okay, cool. That whole thing was.
Yeah, this is his elite. So now we're in elites.
Oh,
so this is going to be the elite series.
Yeah, this guy. This is like probably the top guy right now as far as like people who like once Vince like realizes he's there, like Vince is gonna take him from NXT so fast.
Yeah, for sure.
Alistair.
Look at that hoodie thing. That thing is badass.
That was just that's
look at that.
That's wild.
And they nail his tattoos and everything. Like it's a great elite figure.
For those of you who are listening to the audio version of this, like after the fact, just check out. I always put the YouTube links in the audio description if y'all want to see like the figures we're talking about on YouTube. Yeah, it looks just Alistair Black's looks just like him. Who got next? What did it reset on Alistair Black? What we got next? Oh, here we go.
I don't give a damn.
Liv Morgan. I mean, looks like some good soft goods there on the jacket.
Yeah, definitely soft goods jacket.
I am interested in that Io Shirai.
Look at that.
That Kama, the fighting machine.
Yeah.
The Godfather.
But it comes with the chains and everything, man. Like that's dope.
That's so random. I mean, it's cool that they're making that. That's such a random person to like be coming out.
But that's what they do. They figure out guys that have never had an elite or a Mattel figure, and then they just bring them out.
That is tight.
That's why you never know. And this is dope too. This is the last
Boneyard.
the Boneyard match.
Yeah, that's nice. This is a rabbit hole I just do not want to have to jump that
You're
into.
like, Doug, you son of a bitch.
Becky looks kind of weird, her face.
Yeah, she's got like the pucker face.
Oh, that
looks
looks a little more like her though, close up though, but
and then she comes with the Money in the Bank briefcase too.
yeah. The best of the fans.
There'll be collectors too that like if there's no accessory, so that's going to be the series right there. That like if you ordered on Ringside, you would get that.
Where's
whole set.
Kama?
He's not on there, so it means he's probably an exclusive.
Oh, okay.
So somewhere else. This looks badass.
Yeah.
This is the Edge Ultimate Edition.
Oh yeah.
So you can put either arms, so you don't have to have. You can do the jacket, or you can take the jacket off with the arms and have both. And there's a different head sculpt.
Wow.
See, so like you have separate arms, and then the hands.
Wow. Yeah, that Edge looks. I might have to get this Edge.
See, and look at that.
Ooh.
Like, and then this Macho Man is dope as hell too.
Yeah. Man, I still haven't taken the dive on it because like my thing is I got to get Undisputed Era. I have a couple random ones. Like I have that Cody like the Undashing Cody Elite. I've got a Samoa Joe Elite. A Dean Malenko Elite, just like some random ones. But
yeah.
But yeah, that's one that I need to get that Ultimate Warrior that you got. I really want that still. This
Oh, the classic.
yeah, the from the speech before he died.
Yeah, the last speech.
Yeah, this Macho Man.
That macho's dope too. Like the hat and the soft goods jacket.
That looks like WCW era
Yeah.
with the big green hat.
And this is a 2-pack, and that Triple H is already like an Ultimate Edition that I have, but that Jeff Hardy is dope.
Yeah, that's
And then it comes with that old school Hardy's jersey.
yeah. Is he wearing like the? He's wearing like the fishnet things on his arms.
Yep.
Give me just a second, Doug. Just want my
no
brother's calling me. Just want to hear what he's got to say.
No, it's all good.
Hey, what's up, man? I'm live on stream right now. Fairly soon. What time are you off work? Yeah. Let me probably, I don't know, Doug. How much long you want to go? Like another hour or so?
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll go another hour. So if you want to like go home and shower and like if you can grab some food or something. Do you want to? I mean, you can just head over if like you know what you want to grab. Because then if it's gonna take you like a minute anyway to like grab anything or whatever you got to do. All right, cool. I'll just see you when you get here. All right, see you. Sorry about that, y'all. My brother's coming over for UFC tonight, so we're gonna get some food going.
Yeah, absolutely. Over him.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. That'll be the last thing we talk about before we get out of here.
Cool.
These figures look sick though. This is like the Jeff Hardy from like back when like the No Mercy game was big on the 64. That's like the hair they used and everything.
Yep.
I remember. We've been around for a long freaking time, Doug.
Yeah, we have. It's like even if you weren't around, you still have watched enough wrestling to know the past as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like I didn't watch a lot of Superstar Billy Graham, but like I know Superstar Billy Graham. You know what I mean?
It's kind of an odd face on
Gargano.
Yeah.
I like the Wolverine look though.
Yeah. If I was into superheroes, I would probably like that also. It looks cool. Who else we got? Christian. It was great to see him come back. He looked to be in pretty damn good shape.
Yeah, I need that Christian. I have no Christian Elite, and I don't really want the Brood Elite. I want that one.
Oh, they have.
So absolutely.
Have they made all three of the Brood though?
They have made Edge and Christian.
So Gangrel's got to be coming.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, this is dope with the Kane mask. No way. I remember that story.
Yeah.
No way. The X-Pac Tory Christmas story. Oh yeah, that's right. This is back from when he was in the NW. Oh my god, I might have to get this. I remember this. I love X-Pac.
I like that updated head sculpt too because the ones that they've had have not been very good, but that one's pretty damn good.
Of Waltman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like half stoned, not full stoned.
Yeah. Trust me, some of the other ones they've had have not been very good, so they definitely improved that one.
Okay, so
old school.
Yeah, IC champion era. Okay, I remember him having some good matches with RVD back in that time. Christian.
Yes.
Man.
That's it. I think this is just toy belts after that.
I mean, I'm impressed.
Yeah, like they have some killer figures.
To
me, like I've got to get Cross, I've got to get Christian. I really want that Edge and Macho because the Ultimate Editions are awesome. And then I'll see about the rest. I like that Gargano. It would be nice for my NXT shelf because I have the one that's him and Venom. So yeah, I'll probably get the Gargano. I'll pass on the Orton. But yeah, I don't know about X-Pac. Maybe
I like the X-Pac a lot, but I'm also like, I'm a fan of his.
I could put him more in my WCW shelf, even though that's WWE. But I could put him in my WCW section. But yeah, there's some damn good ones in there.
Yeah, it just gets really scary when I start like justifying these things because now I'm like, okay, well, I mean, if I did like a Hall of Fame shelf, then I and like the NWO with Waltman's about to be going into the Hall of Fame, so if I just got like a Nash and a Hogan and a
Well, and then you can't get Edge without Christian, and then it gets out of hand.
yeah, yeah,
But like, there's these values are crazy though, man. Like Champa and Gargano are like $80 now, and I have both of them, and you just never know what's gonna take off.
dude, like with AEW figures, I saw that some Brandies were surfacing as some Targets lately.
Damn it!
I know. So,
I want that value to stay.
well, I mean, mine's already out of the.
I seriously think if they don't re-release Series One, I think Series One is going to be worth a lot of money.
Yeah, I let all those breathe though. Did you also?
I
Yeah,
did too. I did too.
yeah,
I should have bought another set without, but that just takes up so much space.
I
That's
know.
that's the one of the main reasons I let them breathe. I mean, one, I want to pose them, and then what's the point of accessories if you can't use any of them or anything? So I definitely want to let them breathe. But man, some of the value of these figures are
It's
crazy.
pretty funny because like for Christmas, every night like I'll ask for like just random like there'll be some sort of like vintage. Like for instance, I needed a few. I say needed. I collect those WCW those vibrators like those big WCW vibrating figures with the little red thing on the side, and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like I can't remember how expensive the one was. It was like a Kevin Sullivan or something, and it was like it probably cost 40-50 bucks or whatever. And initially when it came out, it's probably like $5. And I'm like they're like on Christmas Day, like opening this stuff, and like the people I'm opening this stuff around probably figured at the time like, oh, it's like vintage. I'll keep it in the box, and I'm just letting this stuff breathe right in front of them, just popping stuff open from like 1997, just pop, pop, pop. All right, this is going on my shelf. Like, whoa, what?
Yep.
I thought that was gonna be in the box. Um,
Yep.
but
It's like, hey, I bought it. It's mine. Do what I want with it.
I mean, but that's the thing, man. You got to be able to display them. The only ones I haven't let breathe are the Blood Brothers. Those are the only AEW ones I've still got in the box because you can display them really nice.
I don't think I'm gonna get those. Like I said, I had it with that one guy and he fell through. But like I don't want it. I don't want 8 Codys in my collection. I can't do it. So I will. I'll probably get. I did get the Cody or the ringside, and I got Cody. The Series 5, but like that's probably it for me, man. And then what I'll probably do is I'll make like a ROH New Japan type shelf, and I will put Cody in that.
There you go. Well, yeah.
But Mr. Rhodes, you are wearing out your welcome, sir. Too many.
Well, and what me and Doug have talked about doing before, for anyone listening, is the like if we can figure out the day. It's just Jeremy is always usually so like kind of last minute on letting people know when stuff's gonna happen. Just stuff just kind of starts popping up.
Yeah, Joe, he's very random.
But we want to do a thing where like the last time that the AEW like when they revealed like the Santana Ortiz all that stuff, what they were going to look like going out shipped, like what the figures looked like. Me and Doug were sitting there marking out in Twitter DMs for like hours, just like, oh, you see what this? Oh, wait, Matt Hardy comes with the drone.
Well, what he would do is he would put like one picture, right, and that's it. And you're like, oh, that's cool. And then ringside would show it in the packaging, all the accessories and everything. And I was just like, whoa, like I have to have that. And like when he showed Ortiz, I was just kind of like, oh, that's cool. And then I saw the multiple heads and like the accessories, and I was just like, oh my God, like yes,
dude. When they
like,
showed Matt
like,
Hardy with that drone, I was like, you got to be kidding me! Like the drone with the projection,
right?
I'm like, that's what gets me excited about getting a Matt Hardy.
Well, and like I didn't. So like I said, I've been going back and like just clipping up matches and stuff, and I totally forgot about the street fight that Kenny and Matt Hardy had with Sammy and Jericho, where the golf cart first initiated, and
right.
then Kenny did the flip off of the whatever thing they call those things. Did the moonsault off of that, and like I totally forgot about that. But that is where Matt Hardy is wearing the chase. the black, like that was his in-ring debut, I guess, and that's when he was and that's what they're making.
That makes sense because like it looked like the actual figure doesn't look as good as the regular release, but
Right. No, I'm grateful that they chose the chase to be that instead of the regular release, because I want the regular release to be broken matte and all that. You know?
yeah. What was
what else was I gonna say? Damn, I drew a blank. I was gonna ask you something
about figs? Do you think or
no? So let's about the WrestleMania. So where it sounds like it's gonna be Edge and Roman. Do you really think they're gonna go with Sheamus and McIntyre for Mania?
Dude, I really don't know. Like, I mean, because they could do Sheamus and McIntyre at Elimination Chamber or Fastlane.
100%. And I don't see that if they do that, there's no way they're going to have like 3 matches and the last one be at Mania, right? Like, don't do that.
Yeah, I hope not. I mean, I will give Sheamus credit. Like, the last few matches I've seen of his have been really good. Like I'm surprisingly entertained. I think he had some good ones with like AJ and Riddle and so. I mean, good opponents, but
yeah.
But he held up his end big time, and so I think him and Drew will be a good match. Like, what I really fear happening is them getting like Jinder Mahal back in the mix, and like because he's back.
Please don't.
I know that's what I'm saying, but like he's back now, and I'm like, I bet you they do Drew and Jinder and like the whole 3-man band backstory.
3-man band, yeah. God.
I mean, I'm not saying that's what they do, but like they love Jinder, and like I could see them.
Is Heath Slater or whatever? Is he still an Impact, or did they move on from that?
I'm not sure what's happened there. I think he might be hurt, but I don't know for sure. He hasn't been on TV in a minute.
Because like I could see him coming in just to like help the storyline, like not wrestle, but like cut promo or something. You know, like oh god. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I think Edge versus Roman would be a really good match and a good story, but like you can't have Edge beat Roman, and I feel like the story is Edge getting the title back. So I would have Edge beat Drew at WrestleMania. Like that's what I would do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm glad I care though, because a couple months ago I didn't care at all. Like who cares? But Edge coming back definitely helps, and like I can't believe they put him number 1, had him win the Rumble, like that I did not expect.
Now he's only the second person ever to win from number 1 at the Royal Rumble, aside from Shawn Michaels. So
yeah. So I, and honestly, when they changed the order, because they announced it from 1 to 2. Right?
Yeah.
And then when they changed the order, I kind of felt like, is he going to win this thing? Because why else would you just put him at 1? Like, just to do it, know?
Exactly.
So, but no, I didn't think he would win. Yeah. And Christian was a huge surprise. I love that.
Yeah, it really was. And for anyone listening right now, like, obviously I know Benoit won from number 1 also. That was the joke. But. You
didn't get it?
But.
Who's that guy? who they mentioned?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I agree with you too. Like you did a video about the WWE Network moving over to Peacock, and I could see them like some of the content not moving over, because I could see them being like, we don't want anything that has to do with Benoit, we don't want anything that has to do with this person or that person. And I understand their line of thinking, but like that would be a down, because I think generally speaking, I think it is a good idea, the partnership from like a content standpoint, because like you're getting more for your money if you're paying $10 a month already, and you want that NBC stuff like The Office and whatnot. Like you're getting way more for that 10, or you can drop it down to 5 and just deal with ads. I mean, pretty good options.
We need the new Fast and Furious on Peacock. It's got John Cena. There's no better way to promote it. Order the network and watch Fast and Furious. Like, do it. Just do it. Theaters are done. I get it. Do it.
Yeah.
What do you think about the appeal of celebrities now Like, do you think that because of what we've gone through, that like they just seem so much more average because you're seeing them all on their webcams and at home and everything. Like you're not seeing the glitz and the glamour and everything. I feel like they're losing their appeal.
Um, so for me, and someone in the chat, Bob Dawson says Mysterio did it at number 1 in 2006. He actually was number 2 technically, right? He was, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same difference, but um, but no. To be honest, when it came to celebrities, I I mean, probably a few years ago is when like that really started happening for me anyways. Like I was really like noticing on social media and stuff like that they're no different than the average person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think right now especially I think more and more people, because for me I'm weird because like I do so much of this stuff from home pre-pandemic that like
Yeah.
I kind of was already living in my own bubble when it came to that stuff anyways.
You were ready.
Yeah. But when it comes to I think kind of like the average person who like goes out and works, 9 to 5, in an office and stuff like that, like I think that there probably are a lot of people like that are seeing things differently, like you're saying, like that they're just now realizing what you're talking about, and I think that's probably a real thing because that's something about like acting and stuff. I know there's people who are like great actors and great movies and great TV shows and stuff, but that was always like my big thing being a wrestling fan. Whenever I heard wrestling being knocked, I was always like, this is more real than what you're watching. Like all this is
100%.
so everything is so fake and so fabricated. When you're watching reality TV, that's all scripted and they're doing reshoots and they're telling people where to go, and it's like there's and when you really pay attention and realize this, when you sit down and you watch with all the video editing I do, dude, when I watch like a commercial, I'm analyzing the hell out of like, why did they put these colors here? Why did they put this picture there or use this actor or this person or that person? And when you really peel the layers back and like, I think more and more people are realizing that.
Well, so like I was watching Tim Dillon with Whitney Cummings. And Whitney Cummings is a comedian, stand-up. She's been around a long time. And like her whole goal is to like get on a TV show and get on like a movie, and like that's why she lives in LA. And Tim Dillon was like, "It's over.
Yeah.
Hollywood's over. Nobody cares about that stuff anymore." He's like, "Cool, you can be on a show with Jennifer Aniston." Like nobody cares. It's done.
Yeah.
And then, like, she was talking about how she was on The Masked Singer, and she showed, like, a little clip of it, and Tim Dillon's like, I'd rather be in a ditch in Austin, homeless, than be on that show.
Yeah.
That show is for losers. It's for fat people that go to Golden Corral. Like, just trash the show right in front of her and let her know that Hollywood is completely irrelevant now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is that really true now? But like you think about it and like they don't have the same appeal and they don't like draw the same interest. And it's like, how many TV shows are people watching on cable now? Like it's just such a transition that we're going through.
Yeah, people now it's way more valuable to have like YouTube subscribers than to be like on a TV show.
You literally can have more people watch the news from just an independent person on YouTube than watch like CNN or Fox News or anything like that. Like that's the world that we live in now.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean,
and I feel like these cable companies just don't get it. They don't understand it. You know, like they're just like, what? Yeah. What's going on?
I still think there's a lot of people that don't get it. And it's funny because it's like, I talk to people who don't understand YouTube every now and then, like that don't get like how I could even have like a job editing videos that would be on YouTube and stuff like that. Like they just don't get it. Like it's just completely
right.
And it's the same kind of thing where it's like I was watching. It was like one of those The Voice or American Idol. It was one of those shows, like those.
Yeah.
And I was at my parents' house, and it was like the first episode of like this season. This was like a couple years ago, and they're going through all the contestants like one by one and like their profiles and their backgrounds and where they come from and all this stuff. And literally the first episode of the show, I was like, that person's who's going to win the entire thing. I guarantee it. I don't need to hear him sing. I don't need any, like, this is the person that checks the most boxes out of everybody that I just saw. And lo and behold, like, and like my dad and stepmom are kind of getting like upset about like the way I'm talking about these shows, because they're like, they love it, and they're like, and I'm sitting there like, I'm sitting there like roasting it, like, this is the most predictable scripted stuff I've ever seen in my life. Like, but the fans vote. It's like, well, do they really? Because you don't think there's a computer that could just choose who wins, like, you know? So anyway, lo and behold, like 10 weeks or whatever pass, and I'm at my parents' house, and they're like, yeah, she wound up winning the whole thing, and I'm like, yeah, I mean,
like, oh, how did I know?
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah, they'll be the same people that'll like criticize wrestling, like wrestling's fake and it's all scripted, and like you're marking out over The Voice. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Exactly. But before we get out of here, like, I definitely want to talk a little Super Bowl and a little UFC. Let's do UFC first, and we'll close on the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I have the card pulled up here for the UFC show that's happening tonight, and we don't have to go match by match, but like the main event tonight, Alistair Overeem versus Alexander Volkov. Obviously, I mean, Overeem, no matter what people say about him, like any kind of substance use or horse meat, the Ubereem era. Him fighting Todd Duffy in Pride, him kicking Brock in the diverticulitis. You can say a lot of stuff about him. No matter what you say about Alistair Overeem, you have to respect the fact this guy has been doing this since like 1999, and he's still in the title mix in the UFC right now. Like, and Volkov,
2 different divisions too.
Yeah, people forget he was a light heavyweight before when he fought Chuck Liddell in Pride.
He fought like Chuck Liddell, he fought Vitor Belfort, he fought, Shogun, he fought a lot of different people.
That's right. And then you had Volkov on the other side, who, former Bellator champion, a guy who, I mean, shows a lot of potential and a lot of I mean, I shouldn't say potential, he's been around a long time too, but he has a skill set that is dangerous to a lot of fighters with his reach, and this being probably
I personally think he's gonna win. I think Volkov's gonna win.
You got Volkov?
Yeah, and I think Alistair's going to retire. I think because he basically said like he's just going to go for a title shot, and if he doesn't get it, then that's it. And I think he's going to win. I think Volkov's going to win. To me, Volkov is the type of guy that like it's Alistair's worst nightmare, because and this is what happens to Alistair all the time, is he will dominate, he will look great, and then he will get caught eventually. And that is exactly what's going to happen, I think. I think eventually he gets caught.
Yeah, this is a really good matchup, because, like, what you're describing, I'll never forget his fights with, like...
Travis Brown.
Yeah, Bigfoot Silva.
Bigfoot. Like, he was winning all those fights. Ben Rothwell, like, winning all those fights, and then just, like, got caught.
Yeah, got kind of gassed.
Rosenstrike, right? Like, he was winning that fight, and then got just destroyed.
Yeah, he was ahead like 5 rounds to none and got knocked out. They like split his lip open. That was nasty.
And that's the thing too, is like, this is a 5-round fight. If this was a 3-round fight, I'd feel way better about it. But a 5-round fight, he's eventually going to get caught.
Now, to be fair though, Volkov pulled the same thing like when he got beat by Derek Lewis. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I'm gonna take Overeem, but it's because, Overeem's won 4 of his last 5, I think, the last time I looked. I mean, this is a damn good fight. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see Volkov get the job done either. They're both, basically, I think whoever wins this one is probably only like 1 or 2 away from a title shot, probably.
I mean, my thing is like, trust me, and let me make it known, like, I want Overeem to win. I'm going for Overeem. I just don't know. I just don't think he's going to win. But, I mean, if he wins, it's great. And I don't really know all what's in the heavyweight division in his way. because it's going to get pretty. It sounds like John Jones is going to fight the winner of Francis and Stipe, and then after that it's whoever. So, yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I hate this 5-round fight. That usually does not go well for him.
Yeah, and you're right about the division because one thing I could see happening potentially. This is the biggest win possible for Overeem if this scenario plays out. So we're gonna have Stipe and Miocic. Sorry, Stipe and Ngannou too, and they're saying, yeah, if John Jones fights the winner, I mean, I think John Jones should get a title shot his first heavyweight fight. Like, I have no problem with that at all based on what he's done.
Yeah, I don't really care. It's fine.
But if it happens to where Ngannou wins, and even if it's close, Stipe, we've seen before, like, where Stipe with Cormier, he does have a negotiating power with the UFC. Like, he'll sit there and, like, not do anything and get his rematches. He's been able to do it, multiple times. And I can see a scenario where they run back Stipe and Ngannou, because if Stipe loses, I could see him being like, well, I could just retire, or you can get me back in there with Ngannou, on this date or whatever. And so my point being, if they have to do a trilogy fight after this, because I do think Ngannou's going to win. I think it's an awesome fight, but I do think Ngannou's going to win.
Yeah, me too.
If they run back a trilogy, and if Overeem beats Volkov, I could see them doing John Jones and Overeem, because the name value is there, and it's a winnable fight for John Jones at heavyweight.
Yeah, definitely. I could also see Stipe sitting out John Jones and Francis and then fighting the winner.
I can see that too. That's also really likely, I think. And then
especially if John beats Francis, then I think Stipe and John makes a lot of sense.
Me too. And really, I think the only person in the way of anyone in that mix is Rosenstrike, but he has losses already, to Ngannou. So.
Well, that's the thing, is like Overeem got absolutely decapitated by Ngannou. And so like both those guys, I think you have to do that fight actually. Overeem and Rosenstrike rematch. I think if Overeem wins, I think that's the fight.
I'm fine with that too. That's another good rematch.
Yeah.
And then another fight here, I think this is super interesting. Corey Sandhagen versus Frankie Edgar in the co-main.
Yeah, I actually totally forgot this fight, and I saw Frankie Edgar at the weigh-ins, and I was like, oh, wow, that's tomorrow? Like, okay, cool. Like I totally forgot that Frankie was fighting tonight.
He, recently dropped down to bantamweight, had that win over, was it Pedro Munoz in his debut at bantamweight, I believe. And then Corey Sandhagen's coming off of that head kick knockout over Marlon Moraes. And Sandhagen was pretty much next in line until Aljamain Sterling choked him out and basically took his title shot. So,
right.
So this is a huge fight for both guys, because I think this is a number one contender fight basically, because you have Sandhagen and Jan are going to fight for the title, and then one of these two I would assume is going to get the next shot. So, who do you think wins this one?
You mean Sterling and Jan?
Sterling and Jan. Yes, that's what I meant to say. So then,
I'm leaning towards Sandhagen, but like you can never count out Frankie. But like Frankie's up there now, and he's been in a lot of wars and all that. So we'll see. But the one that really was, I remember when Ortega fought Frankie and just destroyed him, and I was just like, man, I don't know. So like I don't know. I'm leaning towards Sandhagen.
And Zombie murked Edgar in the first round too.
But
those are both at featherweight, and the Zombie one was on late notice. Because remember, he was supposed to fight Sandhagen then, and then he pulled out so he could fight Zombie instead, and he went to, fucking South Korea to fight him, which is like the balls you have to have. Yeah. Edgar is an all-time legend. Obviously, he's going to be a multiple-time UFC Hall of Famer. He's going to be in there for multiple fights for his actual, career.
I was at the fight where he fought Maynard the third time for the title in Houston.
Is that the one where he finally finished him in the fourth round?
Yeah, but he was getting the living crap beat out of him, like in the first or the second something. Yeah. That was when Chael Sonnen called out Anderson Silva. Like, Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? That was Stipe's debut against Joey Beltran in the
Oh,
prelims.
Joey Beltran. Forgot about him.
He's fighting in that bare knuckle garbage.
Dude, yeah, they had that show last night. I don't know if you
What is Paige doing,
dude,
dude?
she
Like,
might have the either the worst management of all time or she just doesn't get it.
it's the Kawas, like Abraham and Malky that do
Um,
like George and all
John
them.
Jones.
Like that's who got it. But they're looking for the most
Yeah.
money. That's really all it is. But like this is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Like, because here's the thing too: if you lose in bare knuckle to women in the female division, they don't have a lot of great female fighters. So not only are you fighting in a bare knuckle fight, but you're not getting any like cred for beating anybody legit in there, and you're losing. Like, she said that she would be interested in the WWE. Like, that's probably the route she should go if they're interested in her. But I don't even think that that's a route. Like, I think she just needs to be doing her Instagram modeling and stuff like that. Like, this is getting ugly.
Yeah, that's another thing I just don't understand about her line of thinking is like I haven't looked into it, but I had heard that she was starting her only it's like an OnlyFans, but it's like her website, like but it's basically her own
Okay.
version of only my the joke that my brother who just comes up with this stuff is just hilarious to me. He called it Paige OnlyFans. I was like that would have been the perfect name for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
.com.
and but that's what I don't get is like you want so when she was with the UFC, she was talking about how she was making more money as an Instagram influencer than she was to actually fight. So then why would you go to the place that's the most likely to like destroy your face, like bare knuckle fighting? You're going there and get punched in the face with bare knuckles, and then like your career's in modeling. Like, why wouldn't you? If you want to keep competing, why wouldn't you do it in like boxing, where like you're protected? Like, I don't. It just didn't
Right.
make any sense to me. And not to mention,
Well, and the only thing I thought of was like, okay, she won't go to boxing because these are actually like high level, talented women that can fight. So she's going to go to bare knuckle and get some wins and look credible, and she loses. It's like, what is
one on
next?
top of that, it's like at this point, you don't have to get in there against anyone credible in boxing. You just find another influencer to box. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, for sure,
um,
for sure. Call out Lady Gaga or some garbage and just get in
I mean,
there.
speaking of that, you see Jose Canseco fought last night.
Ten
Yeah,
seconds,
against a bar.
and it looked like he like pulled a muscle in his arm just by trying to defend himself. Like it was so
Yeah, it was
bad.
to like an intern at Barstool Sports, like beat the shit out of him in like 10
Well,
seconds.
so let's talk about Askren and Jake Paul. What do you think about that?
I think I think Askren's in some trouble. I mean, I hate to say it, I really do, but like I've watched both of their and my brother owns a boxing gym in Atlanta, so like he every now and then I get some like random intel like because he trains with people that are like really close to like the Lima brothers because they train out of Atlanta, and I just hear like random
Yeah.
things here and there like Usman will randomly get in the mix and I'll hear stuff about that. And from what my brother's been telling me about the stuff he's hearing and the stuff that he's seen and the little bit that I've seen, like it looks like Jake Paul's gonna destroy him.
Wow. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Because, I mean, he could definitely get hit, no doubt about it. Like, I think that Ben's going to be in some trouble in some of the fights, but, like, I don't know.
See
I
what
don't
Ben
know.
has going for him is he's an Olympic athlete. He's
Yep.
fought the best of the best like athletes. Like so
High pressure situations, competitions, the whole nine. Like, he knows how to, like, and don't get me, I think he's gonna freaking hold his ass off if he's in trouble. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And he has a great grip. Like Jake's gonna have a hard time, just getting a square shot on him. But yeah, I don't know. But boy, let me tell you something. If he wants a piece of the Diaz brothers, it's a whole nother
Oh,
ball
that's a
game.
complete.
It is a whole nother ball
He doesn't
game.
want that game. That's a bad idea if you're Jake Paul,
That pay-per-view buy rate though would be nasty. Like they would kill it.
especially if it was. I mean, like I think Nick is like
If it was Nick,
likely.
if it was Nick and Jake Paul,
Yeah.
Like,
No, what you do is you do Logan versus Nick and
Nick
Jake versus
and
Nate. Yeah.
Nate,
Yeah.
you want to talk about a pay-per-view buy rate?
Yeah.
That thing get buys.
I mean, and here's the thing, like I'll be pulling for Ben Askren. Like I hope he wins.
Yep.
I and like Jake, so the thing with Jake is we have a very small sample size on him and it's against other YouTubers and Nate Robinson. So like
Yep.
that's all we know. Now, what I saw in that was like he knows how to throw a punch. His footwork is okay. Like his balance is okay.
Yep.
But he's been fighting cans. Like Ben Askren, his stand up looks really bad. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like I saw him hitting a bag the other day. Like he put up a video.
Yep.
Now I don't know if he's trolling because he does troll. I don't know if
100%.
I don't know if he put up that he was throwing punches like this.
Yep.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, if he really throws like this, like he's gonna get knocked out. But but he could be trolling us, which is a total thing of him to do.
I mean, dude, he trained with like Rufus and like Anthony Pettis.
So did CM Punk.
Yeah, very fair. But he did it for a much longer time, and he's got to be able to have some idea of throwing punches and stuff.
Yeah, but then like Damian Maya tore him up on the feet. Like, I don't know.
This could be really bad for Ben though if he just gets posterized, because he got really posterized by Masvidal, and then like if Jake Paul finishes him off, like he might go away.
Well, I mean, it's just so wild to think, like, yeah. I mean, because I'm a fan of his, and like I think he beat up Robbie Lawler straight up. Like, there's controversy there, but like there's something to be said about taking the beating he took and then getting him in that bulldog choke. Like, so
Yeah.
People always discredit him for that, and I don't. It's like he won that fight, but yeah, the rest of it and like how he got traded, quote unquote traded for Demetrius Johnson, who, with Henry Cejudo not there right now, he might be the best flyweight in the world still, like right now. And
Right.
I don't know. It's.
Although I would love to see that fight between him and Formiga, I think that would.
Oh,
be
you mean
great.
him and Figueiredo?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah. Well,
I think that would be a good fight.
Yeah, that would. I mean, Fig is like he's looking like he's. I mean, he had that draw with Marino, but Marino is right there too.
Yeah.
Like Marino is that next wave of guys too. I mean,
that kid has balls, man.
yeah. And I mean, they got to run that back. I feel like you have to. I mean, that's a draw. You got to run that again.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
As far as the rest of the shows, anything else you wanted to talk about? Like we got Michael Johnson and Clay Guida, and
that's an interesting fight.
It's a good matchup. Like it makes sense for both guys, like with where they're at.
What about that one that they announced, Diego and Cowboy?
Yeah.
I think that's a retirement fight.
Yeah, double retirement. I mean, I don't. So, my thing is like, why not? Like, sure, like, yeah, just do that. It makes sense for both guys, but
Yep.
I just feel like I don't know what I'm getting out of these guys anymore. Like the whole.
But I think those are the type of fights that they should be in. They shouldn't be fighting top tier guys. They're getting killed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a fight that makes sense.
And then it's like if Cowboy goes in there and destroys Diego, like, do you say, "Oh, you're ready for another fight," or do you just say that was a hell of a run, you went out on top, call it a day, because this isn't gonna go well if you want to keep going?
Well, I mean, Cowboy's already dresses like the Undertaker. Maybe he's gonna he'll be chasing that dragon also.
What's hilarious is like if you ever seen the movie The Equalizer, he's like Russian.
Who, Cowboy?
Yeah,
That's pretty random.
he's like a Russian gang member guy. And I was like, what?
Yeah, I did not expect to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of that one, like Diego, it's like that Josh Fabia dude who's like his guru now and all that.
Gosh.
Like it's just really cringe. It's funny because Diego, like, I still respect the hell out of him, like as a fighter and like what he's accomplished and stuff. But I don't think there's ever been a fighter that I've like watched that I have less in common with than Diego Sanchez. Like the dude is like,
The man's on a different planet.
yeah, like he's on he's ultra religious, and things like weed is like actually is like the devil's work, and like all that
But
stuff.
like he would smoke it before.
Yeah, but then he quit.
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like he's had these weird revelations and stuff. Like yeah, he's you know. But like you know, him and Stephen Bonner were fighting about asparagus on The Ultimate Fighter. Like he's always been a different cat.
True. Now I will say though, the thing he did for that Isaac kid, like the special needs kid who he like went in there,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's great. Like that's great stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't want to get like, I don't want to talk too much trash about the guy, because there is stuff like that he's done that is really really nice.
Did you listen to the Tony Khan Jericho Talk is Jericho
I haven't.
podcast? It's really good. And one thing I found interesting was it was Jericho's idea for Matt Hardy to teleport.
That's interesting.
And Tony Khan says it's one of his biggest regrets that he went with it. Like he hated it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And I was just like, wow. Like I would not have thought that.
Yeah.
And then he talked about like the Cody facing the indie guys and who impressed him. And he said the two guys that he was interested in signing was Ricky Starks and Eddie Kingston, you know, based on those matches. But he didn't say anything else about the other guys. So it's kind of like, it makes me wonder, like, if Tony's really taking charge now, because it seems like he's like, I don't want all the hokey stuff. I want more, you know. So it's interesting when I was hearing like some of those perspectives.
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember years, and this is one where like they really dodged a bullet here. But I remember when AEW was starting, and people and reports coming out and stuff about how Tony Khan wasn't a fan of Joey Ryan. And thank goodness they did not sign him, because he had a lot of people in the back trying to get him in. And
100%.
Yeah, that would have been a disaster.
And we know that a lot of those people are.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the other thing is like, yeah, I mean, it's wild. Yeah, is there anything else on this card you think? I mean, there's good matchups here, but like, I don't know about anything else we really need to.
Usually on these fight nights, it's like the 3 fights, and then the rest of them are kind of just eh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. Hopefully the fights wind up being good. That's tonight. The prelims start in like 2 hours. Then
Dariush, that could be a decent fight.
Yeah, he's fighting Ferreira.
Yeah.
I'm really bad with those kind of names. Yeah.
So we started this league, this DraftKings league, and basically like you just pick fights, and whoever wins the most gets the most points, and then at the end of the year we tally up the points and we pay out, and like a fantasy thing, and it's fun. It makes you involved in every single. You're allowed to pick 6 fights, the winners and the losers, and who you think will win and lose. And it's like between just like 6 guys, so it's pretty fun.
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
And so it makes me involved in fights that like I don't even really pay attention to or care about. It's like I start looking at the odds and stuff, and I'll be like, okay, this person should win, or you know what I mean, like. So it's always good. Fantasy's always good to keep track of things, like to learn more. So I always recommend that.
Yeah, it's like I'll talk about them at the end of the show, but like WrestleRumble.com, that's like the main reason I like watching WWE pay-per-views still, is because like I have that investment of like I could win prizes because of that, you know? Right.
And all of a sudden you care more about the match than you did before, and you know, the whole nine. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely good. Hey, real quick, I heard the 49ers really want Cousins.
Okay, so this is a perfect transition because I wanted to talk football before we got out of here. So let's talk that. Let's talk that then the Super Bowl. So sorry, I'm just getting something pulled up on my screen here for when we're done. So, I mean, obviously it would depend on who the Vikings got. I'm open to trading Cousins, but he's...
Man, you did not like Cousins, so like you should be happy about this idea.
The thing with him is if it's the Cousins that played the second half of this season all the time, like, I'm good with that. But
well, and like if y'all's defense was better, then it wouldn't have to be the same Cousins. You know what I mean?
Or if there's a couple spots on the offensive line where like see, this is the thing with Cousins, where it would just depend on who the other option would be, because the only issue I have with Cousins at all is he takes too many sacks. Like, he doesn't get out of the pocket. He just falls on the ball. Like, the second that like things are going wrong, he just falls on the ball. And it's good that he does that because he isn't fast and like he can't get out of trouble. But a big thing of that is like our offensive line gives him no chance a lot of the time. Like, they just run right through him, right to him, and it's just like, what's he gonna do? Now, I mean, the quarterback I really want is Aaron Rodgers. Like, I'm hoping things blow up between him and the Packers, and we get a Brett Favre scenario, and
that seems like it was like much to do about nothing, and he's fine now. But like, man, what a botch at the playoffs! Like, just
I don't know how you don't go for. I mean, it's insane they kicked that field goal.
What were they, 13-3, and at home, and didn't win? Like,
ridiculous.
I know what it's like.
Yeah.
I know what it's like.
but that's the thing. It's like, depends on who the option would be. So like, because with Rodgers, what's interesting is his contract is coming up fairly soon, and like they have the next guy ready to take the spot, and like, so there's always going to be that narrative there in Green Bay. Like, they're not going to Rodgers is on the way out at some point in the next couple of years. So
for sure.
But
dude, I think this year is going to be shit crazy for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're about to move a whole bunch.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with how Cousins gets paid. Because once he got that $84 million contract, and he's like an above average quarterback, anyone who's above average to elite that's like, you got to start there. Like, Cousins is getting this. Like, we got to.
So here's the thing, though, is like the Lions had to give up a lot. I mean, the Rams had to give up a lot just to dump a contract. So, like, would like, if he went to the 49ers, would the Vikings have to, like, send a first-round pick and Cousins to get rid of him? Like, that would suck.
See, the upside to San Francisco being, like, interested is Shanahan, because like, I think he wants Cousins no matter what, because of their ties to...
I think he's wanted Cousins for a long time. I think that was his number one goal was Cousins from the very beginning.
Well, especially because you look at when they drafted him, like, the RG3 like was like a top pick like a couple seasons before, and they still picked Cousins. So like,
they actually picked Cousins the same year.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
That was what was so confusing. They picked him like in the third round, and they picked RG3 in the first.
I completely forgot that was the same draft. I mean, it just depends on who. If there are a few quarterbacks I've been keeping up with that I think like could fit well in Minnesota. The one, Aaron Rodgers is like my number one, but that's unrealistic at the moment. He's just the one that I think would just be the salt in the wounds to Green Bay. Like, he had
Rodgers and Watson. Like, those ones are the ones that you just. But to me, Watson, the price is just getting out of hand. Like, just ridiculous.
But the thing with Watson is obviously who I was going to bring up, and that's, if we could get Watson, yes. Like, if we can figure a way around that, where like Cousins goes to Houston because they're going to need a quarterback because so.
Three-way trade.
Exactly. There could be a way of figuring that out. And Watson also, I think he's a good dude who's just completely just through with dealing with the BS from the front office. So I think no matter what he might be asking for contract-wise, like with them, if he was to come into a situation where it's like, yo, you got Dalvin Cook to carry the ball, you got Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen to throw to, we're going to use all of our draft picks on offensive line and defense. Like,
well, so here's the thing, though, is like Watson is paid. Watson signed a new deal.
Right.
He's not upset about the money. He gets $40 million next year.
That's right.
Like, this year he gets like 15 or 20 or something because it's his 5th-year option, but then the next year he gets 40. So the deal's already done. So so like whoever makes that trade, it's done. It's your contract
That's right.
now.
He just signed that, right? Like before last season.
Yeah, he signed it last year.
That's right.
And so that's the issue, is they have his rights. Like, he's screwed if they choose not to trade him. Like, he's gonna lose all that money. So,
but if the Texans were already prepared to pay Watson that much, like they could take on Cousins' contract. You know what I mean?
100%. Oh, 100%. They could. So that's just the question: is what's the cost? Like, does the Minnesota just say, "Look, we'll give you Kirk Cousins and 3 first-round picks for Watson"?
I wouldn't do that if I was Minnesota.
But see, that's what I'm saying. But that's the price for Watson.
Yeah.
Like, or do you want to say Justin Jefferson? Like,
no.
Like, that's
no. You got to keep Justin.
You're going to have to lose a huge piece to get Watson, and to me, like, that's where it's like, no, it's not worth it. I'm not giving you 4 first-round picks. Like the Jets, they were talking about 4 first-round picks and Quentin Williams for Watson. Like, no, I'm not doing that.
They can have cut for Watson. I would do. This is just like perfect scenario, but like this wouldn't fly. Yeah. I would do like, and they'd still get a lot. And like I do like Cousins, a first-round pick, Harrison Smith, and Kyle Rudolph. Like a bunch of guys who are on the way out anyways, and a first-round pick, and you get your current quarterback. You get some good guys that can lead, your defense and your offense, and you get a first-round pick.
And a first-round pick. Yeah, what do you say?
There you go.
Click.
There you go. And the first-round pick. But here's the thing, like the Minnesota, you can't be giving up like multiple. I mean, if we were talking Aaron Rodgers, I'd give him Cousins and 3 firsts. I wouldn't care because at that point we are selling out for one. I want 1 Super Bowl. I don't care. Like, sell it out. If we can get the 1 year where we at least win the Super Bowl in my lifetime, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Give Green Bay whatever. I know we'd be giving them all of our first-round picks.
And see, that's the thing, is I'm starting to get that way too. Like, I always wanted to build a franchise so we could be good for like 10 years, but I'm just like, man, forget this. It's been 25 years. Like, let's just do something. Let's just go all in.
For the Vikings, it's been never. Like so it's like you got and that's the thing. I'm cool with selling out totally if we can keep Thielen, Jefferson, and Cook on the offense. Like, and then we also have Irv Smith Jr., who could be a really damn good tight end. Like, there's the pieces are there for Minnesota. It's just the classic thing of the quarterback's always been my whole lifetime pretty much. That's been the thing, is like all the pieces are there. Just need a winner at quarterback. And, we also had some defensive stuff. Like, Danielle Hunter was hurt all season. Anthony Barr was hurt almost all year. Eric
like, if Danielle Hunter wasn't hurt, like, I would put him on the trading block and see if you could get something serious for him. Because I think, like, if I was the Vikings, right, and if I had called the Texans, I said, look, I'll give you Kirk Cousins, Danielle Hunter, my first-round pick, and my next year's second. Like, something like that. I'd do that. Because, see, that's what I think. I think you're going to have to put picks and players to get Watson. Like, I think Watson is going to just be expensive. Yeah. But there's also other guys, like, I think Matt Ryan could possibly be moved. I think Tua even could possibly be moved. I think that...
Or Fitzpatrick can go start. Fitzpatrick can go start somewhere else.
Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Dak could be moved, but, like, this thing is going to get ugly. I'm telling you that right now. Like, there's no reason it should be, but it's about to get ugly.
For y'all, though, the best thing that could have happened, like, for Dak happened this year. Because, like, he just proved his value by not playing.
Tenfold.
So...
And what the great thing is, it proved it to the fans. Because you're always going to have these fans that will be like, well, we can just put anybody in there. Our offense is loaded. We got wide receivers. And then now they're like, oh, okay, so it does change without Dak. I get it now. But here's the thing. We're going to franchise tag Dak. That's going to happen. And then we're going to try to get him down to a contract. The issue is the Joneses believe in deadlines and make deals. We shouldn't have to go through this again. Like, this is just nonsense. And if you're not going to get Dak done, then let's draft. And we need an answer on Dak before the
Yeah.
draft. Period. Like, the franchise tag is like on March 9th is the deadline. He's going to get franchise tagged. Then I think on March 17th the league year starts, and then we'll find out the salary cap, and then we need to get a deal done like immediately. And then we know what we have left and what we can do and all that nonsense. But like, we need to get Dak done. And if we don't get Dak done, I'm not dealing with another year of Dak on the franchise tag. That's 2 years. It's just a messy. The media also has grabbed this story and love to divide them. And so, like, as soon as we franchise tag him, the media is going to be like, oh, Dallas doesn't think he's worth it. And why is that? They paid Tony Romo. Why wouldn't they pay Dak? And they're going to try to pull, like, Cowboys are racist. And it's just, like, just get the deal done. We're making this thing way bigger than it needs to be.
Dude, I think the Cowboys, they're going to have about another season or two with McCarthy, and then your next head coach is going to be Mike Zimmer. I just feel it. I just feel it, dude.
I could see that happening. I could also see, by us getting Dan Quinn, I could possibly see us promoting Dan Quinn. I could possibly another wild card dude is Kellen Moore. Like, he's our homegrown guy. It feels very Jason Garrett-ish. Like, he was our quarterback, a backup quarterback for us, and then he was the quarterback coach. Now he's the offensive coordinator. We paid him a bunch of money so he wouldn't go to Boise State. Dak grew up with Kellen Moore, like, throughout, like, as a coach. So I could see that happening too.
Yeah.
And he's nothing but 5'9" with, like, I mean, I can't see him pushing around men, but whatever. He looks like he's like 14. So imagine him telling DeMarcus Lawrence to run an extra mile. Like, okay.
I think franchises need to do more of that, like going with these people that have been around a long time, like, because like the Vikings had that opportunity with Kevin Stefanski. Instead of extending Zimmer, they should have let his contract run out and promote Stefanski.
Well, and what I hated is the Cowboys weren't even willing to interview anybody that was like a college coach. Like, I would have loved to take Matt Rule with Dak and all that from Carolina. Like, I would have taken that over Mike McCarthy. And honestly, I think Mike McCarthy sold us a bill of goods that just aren't true. Like, I think that he talked about how he changed and all this stuff, and he watched all our tape, and I don't think he did. And there was a lot of questionable calls that he made that were on him that I'm just like, yeah, I don't think you're that good. And then he brought in his buddies to be the coach, like Mike Nolan, defense coordinator, who's terrible. Like, this is not – the honeymoon phase is over for Mike McCarthy. He better start delivering, and if he doesn't, he's out of here.
I've always felt like that about McCarthy. Like, he's always had great players playing for him in Green Bay.
Yep.
And then when he goes over to Dallas, it's like...
But would you say that the Aaron Rodgers loss kind of helped McCarthy? Because if they would have won that game and went to the Super Bowl, and let's say they won the Super Bowl, like, they would be pretty justified in saying, like, look, it was just Mike McCarthy holding Aaron Rodgers back. Like, that was it. And now it's like Aaron Rodgers has had so many opportunities in the playoffs and has not won.
Yeah, that's true, too. I mean, that is another way of looking at it. I mean, the other thing with McCarthy also is, like, he had those teams in Green Bay, and then he took the season off. And then, like, he never had to be, like, an offensive coordinator or, like, anything. He just got another head coaching job, and that doesn't happen that often either.
And not just a head coaching job.
America's team.
He got Hollywood. Yeah. He got the glitz and glamour, the $1.2 billion training facility, the hotel. Like, he got the whole thing. So it's like, how so much for getting humbled, right? Like,
you're
fired, you got nothing, now you're on here, and now you think you're the bomb. But, man, like, they had such a rough go. Like, the injuries, Dak broken foot, or, like, one of the coaches died. Like, it was rough. Like, you name it, they went through it. So, COVID, like, it's just – so I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, but, man, I am not like just being like, oh, it's okay, we'll figure it out. No, like, you better show me something this year.
Yeah, for the Cowboys, y'all are always in win now mode because like even preseason, like the analysts are picking y'all to win the Super Bowl every season, and I'm always like, I don't know how. I mean, I no disrespect, but like I don't get how that happens every year when like you look at the roster and like look at the previous year and like when it looks almost the same from year to year, and you're like, okay, they didn't make the playoffs, now they're gonna win the Super Bowl.
It's one of those things where like it's clickbaity, right? And then another thing is like we'll look good on paper, but we'll take 2 injuries and the depth is garbage. And then it's like, okay, things aren't as good as we thought and blah, blah, blah. So, like our whole offensive line was injured. The right tackle never played a game. The starting left tackle played 2 games. The center retired. The guard had a calf injury that took him out for most of the season. Like we were in shambles. Like and then you had Dak. We had 4 different quarterbacks. Like you're not going to win that way.
And then you come to find out, like at the end of the season, that was it Pollard, your backup, is actually better than Zeke is.
Yeah, well, and now Zeke or Emmitt Smith is using COVID as a reason why Zeke was not as good because it affected his lungs. And I'm like, okay, whatever, we'll see. But you could see that between the tackles, Pollard is not Zeke. He's not. But man, if you give that guy space, he'll bust one. So that's where it's like, okay, but like. I'm over Zeke's diva attitude, his contract, the whole 9. Like, dude, when you hold out in Cabo to force us to pay you when we're trying to pay our quarterback, like, I have no respect for that. And not only that, dude, you've already been suspended. You've put us in bad situations. You've done stupid things. And then you had the audacity to do that on top of that. He rubbed me the wrong way big time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it sucks having to deal with that every season.
But I'll tell you this, I'm a firm believer in this now, and I know you have Dalvin Cook and everything, but never pay a running back.
Yeah,
never.
Yeah, well, especially with someone like Cook, who I think is when Cook's on the field, he's incredible. Like I will not,
100%. They're great players.
But it's fragile. You got to always account for a couple games a season that Dalvin's not going to be on the field, and
their prime is only going to be like 4 or 5 years. Like they're not. So when they've already played 4 or 5 years and then you pay them, when they get to like year 6, 7, 8, like it's over. They're not the same.
And a lot of them are doing it by committee now too, where there's like 2, 3 of them taking turns in the backfield.
But by drafting, that's the way to do it, right? Like you draft, you have your starter for 5 years, 4 years. If you do a second round, it's 4 years, and then you draft another one in like the 4th, 5th round, and then just go, and then just keep exchanging them out. Like, never pay a running back. It's unfair. I get it. But, dude, just business-wise. And it's almost getting that way with wide receiver. Like, the wide receivers that come out of college now, like, they're all ready. They're good to go. A lot of them are. Like, you did it. You got rid of Stephon Diggs and replaced him with Justin Jefferson.
That's rare, though. For it to work out like that.
It's rare, but it's starting. Like, if we got rid of Michael Gallup and replaced him with Ceedee Lamb, we would have been okay. Like, it's not going to be the end of the world. Like, so there's always going to be these top wide receivers that are going to be available.
When you have Lamb on a rookie contract, when does Cooper? What's his status? Because he's going to want money if he hasn't already gotten it.
Cooper got paid. Last year, 5 years, $100 million or something like that. So
there you go.
And he's the weirdest guy in the world. Like, I have a pretty good Twitter relationship, I guess, with one of the former players who was also on the coaching staff, Philip Tanner. It's crazy, right? Like, he he played preseason game, and I tweeted about him because he played like he did a run where he lost his helmet and he kept going to score a touchdown. And I was just like, this is the type of players we need in Cowboys or whatever. And like, as soon as I said that, he liked the tweet and he followed me. And the dude has been following me ever since. Like, we've talked Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, we talked all this stuff, nice. Right? Well, he was part of the running backs coach under Jason Garrett, for 4 or 5 years. And he played under Jason Garrett. So he has a ton of knowledge. I mean, like, the guy's in the room with Zeke, like, every day. And I had heard that the Cowboys Jason Garrett's staff did not like Amari Cooper. And he is on Twitter trashing Amari Cooper. Like, he will be on there and being like, I'm just waiting to see how this guy's a top receiver, and he needs to be way more consistent, and his body language sucks, and like all this stuff. And I'm like, holy shit, it's true. They really did not like Amari Cooper. So
that's bizarre.
I think the biggest thing is Amari does not have any dog in him whatsoever. Like, Amari will drop a pass and just like go like and walk to the sideline like it meant nothing. And Amari is not a guy that'll be a rah-rah guy, a guy that'll get in anybody's face. Like, Amari is just chill, just fine. And like, he reads books on the weekends and he plays chess, and like he's never gonna get in any off-field trouble. He's a good guy, good kid. But like, dude, there are some times where he makes plays and he looks like the best wide receiver in the league. Like, his explosion, his route running, the way he cuts and stuff, like, it's unbelievable. But he will drop some of the most easiest passes and just like not give a damn. And it's just the weirdest thing. Like, I think he's an unbelievable player. Every year he blows me away by something he does. But like, wow. But man, Ceedee did a touchdown on y'all that was like one of the most incredible touchdowns I had ever seen. The way his body control,
because Thielen had a sick one also. They were like one upping each other throughout the game. That was nasty. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, when Andy threw that trash, I was just like, there is no way Ceedee is catching that. And like, he dove and like bit his body to catch that and came down with it, and I was just like, oh my god. Yeah. Like, that is the one catch. If I have to talk about CD's season, like, that's the one you show. Like, whoa.
Yeah, they've both had some good showings against the Vikings the last couple of seasons. Like, 2 years ago, Cooper tore us up.
Yeah.
Like, I think we wound up winning the game, but it was like Cooper.
Cooper. And we ended up winning this one, so we're 1-1. And I think we play next year, too.
Yeah, this year. We lost to y'all with like 3 wins in the season. That was so,
I know you were, and I was happy because it's like we sucked so bad. And I was like, just give me a win. But dude, after that, I was like, we could make the playoffs. Yeah. Like, we're good enough to do it. Andy showed us.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing with the Vikings. This is the last thing I'll say before we move on to Super Bowl. But like, the one other thing I could say about the Vikings this season, like in a positive, it's a positive and a negative, but it's like. And it's another reason why I don't hate on Kirk Cousins like others would, is because like we got to the point in almost every single loss we had this season was within one score, and most of it we were ahead, and then our defense blew it. So it was just like, or our kicker, your freaking dude, can't kick a field goal.
You mean at one time the most accurate kicker in NFL history, Dan Bailey?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. See, that's a whole other thing, being a Vikings fan. We deal with all this stuff with the quarterbacks, and then you look at our history too, and it's the same thing with the field goal kickers. I mean, it's like
Dude, you have no idea how many people were upset when we cut Dan Bailey, because it was kind of out of nowhere, and like he was like. There were literally some people that thought he was MVP of the team back in the day because he was that money. Like, he always made it. Like, always.
Not anymore.
And then, dude, like, he fell off a cliff. He started to have back injuries. And, like, what was crazy is in training camp, he was coming off of a bad season towards the end. He was fine until he had, like, this back injury. And he was having, like, a bad season towards the end. And then we weren't giving him like any practices. So like or in preseason games, he wasn't getting any reps. And we were like, oh, so like this is his job. They're just giving him the job. Like, no one thought he was going to get cut. And then the roster came out and he got cut. And people were like, what? And then everybody was like, who wants an elite kicker? Dan Bailey. And Minnesota's like, God, we need an elite kicker so bad. Let's sign him. Yeah. That didn't work out.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, but it's even more salt in the wounds when like this whole situation, the Dan Bailey situation, well, it really dates all the way back to like Gary Anderson in 1998 missing against the Falcons to not make the Super Bowl.
Boy.
but
Oh
but
boy, we're going way back.
but more recently, it goes back to Blair Walsh missing a 27-yard
Yep.
field goal kick to bring us to the Super Bowl, or the
Which was just an insane game with the Seattle.
Yeah.
I think it
it
was
was to go to the
NFC
NFC Championship. That was.
And that's when you were playing like on a college field, like you weren't even because your stadium was being built or whatever.
The snow imploded the Metrodome.
Yep. Yep.
So it goes back to
he makes that kick if it was in the Metrodome. Just letting you know.
And that guy's career was never the same. And then
he broke.
And then we had like was it Ryan Longwell or like so we had some like decent okay there was another one. I can't remember who. Another veteran guy. Anyways, the point being, we get to a spot where it's like, you know what? We're gonna really invest in this, and we're gonna trade up in the draft, and we're gonna get a good young kicker out of college, and then Dan Carlson comes in and like misses everything for 3 weeks. Just comes in and just can't kick a field goal to save his life. So we cut him, which we.
But he's pretty good.
That's what I was about to say. We had at the time we had to cut him. Like it was like you gotta go, dude. Like 3 games in, like you suck. And now he's solid. And it's like, well, if we would have had him the entire time, and he would have, and it turned out that his issue was he was standing like a half foot to one side. That they corrected like half a step for him, and that was like the whole thing was like. And it was like, and it's like we couldn't have figured that out.
It has a special teams coach then, Jesus.
Well, that's a whole. It's just, but it's so frustrating because that's where we're at. Because there's no way you can bring Dan Bailey back to the Vikings next season. There's just no way.
No.
So yeah.
And does Zimmer come back like after he's back, right? But I think after this season he's gonna get canned if y'all don't do anything.
I would have already canned him personally, but I think that at this point, Zimmer, Cousins, and Rick Spielman, the general manager, I think that's a package deal at this point. I think because they're basically.
But what if they trade Cousins?
If they trade Cousins, I think it's more likely that if we don't make the playoffs, so I think Zimmer has 2 more years left. Cousins has 2 more years left. I'm not sure what Spielman looks like, but I think Spielman's job's only on the line if like we can't win like 8 games a season going forward.
But like, is Spielman that bad?
No.
Because y'all always draft good. Y'all get good players.
I like Spielman. I do.
Okay.
So I'm not advocating for his job, but I could.
It's like the Eagles fans that hate Howie Roseman, but man, dude, Howie always puts them in. Like, he's willing to make trades. He's a salary cap guru. He always figures a way to get out of the salary cap and cap hell and all that stuff. Like, they've made some questionable calls, but that is a disaster of an organization.
Well, that's a whole other thing. I think the salary cap's a myth also. Like, there's so much Fugazi stuff that goes on with being able to work.
I saw one where like Carson Wentz, if he agreed to a trade, he could write a $20 million check to the Eagles, and then like it would only be like a $10 million cap hit, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But that's how I feel about it. Like, I don't necessarily want to see Spielman go, but they'd have to tank pretty bad, I think. Like, because I at this point, I think ultimately, I think it's something where like if Cousins gets to like, you know, once like the 3rd day of this season happens or whatever, then he's locked in for like we have to pay him for 2 seasons at that point. Like he's locked in for that amount of money regardless. So like, it's either we get rid of Cousins right now or he's there for 2 more years. And I feel this, and so I feel the same about Zimmer, basically. Like, honestly, and I know this is like pretty extreme. I think we need to win the Super Bowl for Kirk Cousins and Mike Zimmer to keep their jobs in Minnesota. Like that's the standard at this point. We got to win the Super Bowl. So that's just kind of where I think it's at right now. But
speaking of Super Bowl,
let's talk about that. Anyone?
I feel like we're the poor kids talking about the rich kids right now because it's like we want to get to the Super Bowl so bad, and it's just Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, like, oh my God, whatever.
Yeah. So if anyone has this last time I'll bring it up, because I don't think I've said it in the last like 2 hours. If anyone has any super chats or donations, let us know. We will still deep dive on anything you have to say or any questions that you have, and especially if it has to do with the Super Bowl, because we're gonna give our predictions right now for the show. Dude, that's how I do feel like that. Like, I mean,
Oh,
it's, I mean,
and knowing that, like, Tom Brady showed you how easy it is to get there, and we can't get there, right? Like, you get the Redskins, garbage team that has a good defensive line, but like their quarterback situation is just in shambles. He's playing against a guy that was in the Canadian League in the playoffs, right? They win that game,
yeah,
right? Then they go to the Saints, and Drew Brees' arm is a noodle. The guy can throw only 15 to 20 yards tops. The defense helps them win that game, and they go. Then they go to Green Bay. Tom Brady throws 3 interceptions, but Aaron Rodgers plays worse, and the Green Bay makes questionable calls, and the son of a bitch is in the Super Bowl again. And like that never happens. Like when the Cowboys are like in their prime, they're ready, all that, we get prime Aaron Rodgers from Green Bay and he picks us apart to pieces. Like Tampa Bay didn't have to play the very best right up front, but they just found ways to just coast on through. And this is the key here, Steven. This is what we have to do. We have to get in the playoffs every single year, and eventually luck will find our way. That is the key to it all. If the Cowboys are always 1 and none, 1 and none, 1 and none, none, 1, like, no. You need to be consistently good and get in the playoffs every year, and eventually luck will find your way.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. Like, I think the Vikings used up a lot of their luck for the next decade on that Minnesota Miracle, and then they dropped the ball in the next round. But like, I mean, and that was another thing too. Like they could have played in Minnesota in the Super Bowl at home, and now go figure, Tampa Bay.
Tom Brady, the very first to do it. Like that man, just whatever. I'm done fighting about it. It just is what it is. He's just the anomaly. It's the weirdest thing in the world. Whatever. Things just go his way, and that's why it's hard to pick against him, right? But I'm going to. I got the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to win. But man, Tom Brady. I don't know.
I'm taking Tampa Bay.
And what I hate too about Tom Brady is like, it's not like this guy went to some scrub team, right? Like, they have Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Leonard Fournette, and Ronald Jones at running back.
But they got most of them after Brady. Like, he was like, hey, go get all these guys. Like, I'm here now. Let's go get all these guys.
Yeah. Yep. And then it's like, Carlton Davis has been a lockdown corner for them, and then Antoine Winfield Jr. has been a damn good safety that I know you wanted. I wanted him too. Like, this team is loaded. This team is loaded. So it's not like it's just Tom Brady. Yeah, there's a big difference between Jameis Winston and Tom Brady, but like damn it, he just figures it out. I don't know what to say. I'm over it. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, here's an interesting stat that I found out about. Tom Brady has never scored a touchdown, or the Patriots, anything. His team has never scored a touchdown in the first quarter.
Wait, what? Only
3 points in every Super Bowl. He's never scored a touchdown in the first quarter.
I'm on some Super Bowl squares, and my squares are 3-3. So that's good to know. Like if they start off with 3.
So he's never done that. And then here's my thing: if the Chiefs score a touchdown right off the bat, and then Tom can't score another touchdown, and then the Chiefs score another touchdown, I mean, all of a sudden they're down 14 points. But the Super Bowl is going to be a home game. Like, yeah, there's going to be people that travel and stuff, but a lot of these people are going to be local. Like 7,000 of them are just local EMTs and stuff. Like they've been, nurses and stuff. So it's going to be local, and there's going to be a lot of fan support. And I don't know. I'm going with the Chiefs, but man, I hate Tom Brady. I hate him. But I respect him. At this point, there's nothing you can do. Like, I'm just over him. I'm over Tom Brady. He's 43 years old. Let somebody else eat. This is his 10th Super Bowl out of his 20 seasons that he's played. So half the time he's been in the NFL, he's gone to the Super Bowl. This is nonsense.
I mean, I just look at it like, because I am going to take Tampa Bay to win because, like, Brady's a winner, man. Like, he figures it out. He gets the job done. Like, I mean, it's
funny, right? Because like Bill's a diehard Chiefs fan. He was born in Kansas. We grew up in Kansas, and like that's his team. And he thinks that Tom Brady doesn't have a prayer. He thinks they're just gonna smash them. Like, and I'm just like, Bill, I'm telling you, like, it could happen. Like, no, like Tyreek Hill had like 200 yards on them and like in the second quarter, like we're going to destroy them. There's nothing they can do. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, teams learn from previous experience too. And like, to me, if you can eliminate Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, that's the way you've got to beat the Chiefs. Yeah. Mahomes is just dangerous, but I will take my chances of Mahomes throwing to Hardman or Demarcus Robinson or Sammy Watkins or whatever, but like Hill, I've never seen anyone like Hill. I'm blown away by Hill. Like, I've never seen anybody faster, more explosive. Like, that guy is just unbelievable. And the reason that the Chiefs even have him is because he beats women and kids. Because he's only $50 million. There's no way they could afford him on a $100 million contract. But they got him on the discount. So they were able to work the system.
Same with Antonio Brown and everything. I mean,
normally Antonio Brown, you're not getting him for $1 million, but this year you are.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good matchup. I can't hate on Tom Brady. I just can't do it. Like I have to give him credit. Like, it's even when you look at what Peyton Manning did with the Broncos, for instance, like that was really impressive, but he didn't do it the first year there. Like, it was a couple seasons, then Peyton Manning with the Broncos won a Super Bowl. But like Tom Brady literally comes in and just first year, boom, like
first year.
And they didn't even make the playoffs last year. I mean, it's like there's
and in a completely different conference, right? Like he's always played the AFC. He goes to the NFC 1 year and just like, okay.
But I think a lot of that too is like the coaches not having the egos and just letting Brady do what he knows is going to work. Like, apparently they just hand him the clipboard in the fourth quarter when the game's closed. They're just like, all right, Tom, you know better than our coaching staff does. Like, you see what's going on the field. Like, go, do what you think's going to win.
That's so smart to do because so many coaches will try to prove their merit and be like, no, we know better, But at this point, Tom has seen it all. He's seen every defense, it's just. And the interesting thing is, but here's another thing that you got to think about. Spagnuolo was the defensive coordinator for the Giants both times the Giants beat the Patriots.
Oh, that's a good point.
And he is the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's a really interesting layer to that.
So Tom has definitely seen that defense before, but he hasn't had a lot of success against it. So that's another interesting point. So it's a good matchup, though. I mean, it definitely is a good matchup. And, I don't really want to see the Chiefs win just because, it's just unfair because Bill has won 2 in a row. And, it's just, and he's going to probably win way more. And I just am over it already. But I really don't want to see Tom Brady win. I'm so over that. So it is what it is. I think the Chiefs are – I think – that the Mahomes, Kelce, Tyreek Hill machine with Honey Badger at safety, Chris Jones at defensive line, I just think that they're a better team and they'll figure it out.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
But I will say this. Tom Brady is not going to fold under pressure. like Josh Allen, right? Like the Bills were up 10-0, and then as soon as like the tide came in, like they were like, yeah, we're done. But like that would not be Tom Brady. Tom Brady would be like, okay, it's third quarter with 7 minutes left. If I can score within the first 3 minutes on this drive, then we can still the defense gets us the ball back. Like it's already in his head.
Yeah.
Like this is what I need. Because Romo was like that too. Like if you gave Romo 5 minutes and down 2 scores, he would figure out how he could get down there and win. And like that's the way that Tom Brady thinks. So it's just a different dynamic. He's never going to think the game is over. So that's my biggest thing.
Yeah. My prediction is Tampa Bay gets the job done, and we see Tom Brady lay a giant kiss right on his son's lips, right after the game, just right in the mouth.
And it's like spit come off. Right, that's the whole nine. And who cares who's going to say anything because it's Tom Brady and he's won freaking 7 Super Bowls.
We did get a super chat. If anyone has any last minute super chats or donations, feel free to send them on over as we're kind of wrapping this up. This is unrelated to football, and that's fine. Eduardo Lozano. Jeez, I had a hard time with that. Eduardo Lozano, thank you very much for your super chat. He says, how do you think Low-Key would do in MMA?
Oh, man.
I mean,
I think if he would have started from like the very beginning, like I think that he's a hell of an athlete. Like he's a hell of an athlete, and he likes to be stiff. So, I think he would have been decent. I don't know about like world champion or anything, but like I think he would have got some fights, especially back then. Like if like Low-Key in 04 decided to do MMA. Like, I think he could have made some hay.
Yeah, I think in Low-Key's mind, he's been doing MMA this whole time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, the other guys aren't aware
exactly.
of it yet.
His opponents have their hands down with their chins out, and he's whacking them.
Yeah, and he just obliges. But
now, I have heard Daniel Bryan like in old interviews, like back like early 2000s interviews, where Daniel Bryan would talk about like, how Low-Key is like, he basically puts over how just incredibly talented Low-Key is, like with his striking and the stuff. He never says like he's like gonna be this MMA star or anything, but he does put him over even all the way back then as like, this is a guy similar to me, limited by his height and stuff, but has worked so damn hard to make the style he's made that, so I do respect him from that degree, but then there also is that other side of it, of all the stories of people just like getting stiff by him. So
stiff, not wanting to job, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, the athletic ability is definitely there though, and he's one of those like if AEW brought in Low-Key to wrestle Kenny Omega, like I would be excited for it still to this day. Like he's still a guy that you would look forward to his matches, but like he's just been a different dude. I don't know how to. He's almost like a Diego Sanchez. Yeah. Like he lives in a different reality.
Yeah, for sure.
But he, like him, Davey, Kyle O'Reilly, Daniel Bryan. I could have seen all of them go into MMA and do pretty well.
Yeah. With Low-Key's been wrestling in MLW lately. He's been looking good though. Like he's had some good matches with Tom Lawler and stuff. Like, which is that's always interesting for me to see. It's like, okay, Low-Key versus Tom Lawler. I like this matchup because if Low-Key goes for anything, like Tom Lawler's legit as hell. So it's like that's.
Yeah, he'll step right back.
Like that's gonna be no problem for a guy like Tom Lawler. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't know. Back in the day, Shinsuke Nakamura, Daniel Bryan, Lyoto Machida, like they all lived together and like trained together and stuff, which is like crazy to think about.
Yep, like Daniel Bryan would train at Extreme Couture.
Yeah, Mox has been training at the Extreme Couture in Vegas. So yeah.
Man, did you watch that Moxley movie?
No, a movie
where he's like the cage fighter.
No, I haven't. Is it any good?
Dude, it's wild. So basically he's a pro wrestler, but like it would be like if CM Punk got to challenge the champion and win the
Oh
title.
wow, okay.
Yeah, so like if CM Punk decided that he wanted to fight,
Wait, so you Brock, the story of Brock Lesnar.
a kind of, but like the guy that's the champ is kind of like always been the superstar and never really struggled with anyone, and just like like John Jones is almost, and then like the psychotic, unhinged guy comes in there and just beats the piss out of him and becomes champion, which is John Moxley. And then like the whole movie is like, do I still have what it takes and whatever to try to set up for the rematch to fight John Moxley at the end.
Mm.
But it's like MMA, and it's definitely, it's not like so low budget it's not watchable, but like it's very, very unrealistic.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I probably won't watch it.
But like Chuck Liddell is his trainer.
Oh, okay. Even better.
And like he stops listening. It's not Moxley's trainer, it's the other guy's trainer, and he stops listening to Chuck Liddell, and Chuck Liddell's like, you could still do this. Like, yeah, it is totally like your straight to video movie, but there's so many like names in it that you kind of have to watch it.
Speaking of that, have you seen that clip of Tyron Woodley in that TI movie?
Oh yeah.
Getting his junk destroyed by a raccoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Woodley. That's where it's at.
Did you ever watch the Marine 5, I think it was?
I've never watched any of the Marine movies.
Dude, I kid you not. I really feel like Becky Lynch created the character of the Man from that movie, and she's a bad guy in it, and she has the Man attitude before the Man came out. Like, I really think that was the catalyst. Not only that, The Miz and Shawn Michaels are like best friends in that movie, and they're like war buddies from back in the day. And like Shawn Michaels is like the co-main event co-star. Like, it's him. So the movie is basically Miz and Shawn Michaels versus Becky Lynch. And if that doesn't excite you, I don't know what does. Because you're talking, guns and everything against Becky Lynch with Shawn Michaels and The Miz. Like, what?
Yeah.
Who came up with that?
That sounds almost as good as John Morrison wrestling like terriers. Because I'm pretty.
You want to hear the spoiler though?
Of what? The Marine?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go for it.
The Miz gets killed. The Miz gets killed, and Shawn Michaels ends up, beating Becky Lynch, and then he's the lone survivor, and then they have like this tribute package of the character of the Miz at the end with like this sad song, and like that's how it ended.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, the Miz gets shot to shit.
Wow. That's not how I expected that movie to.
No, I didn't either. Just like, what?
Dude, the Tyron Woodley thing is so funny to me because, like, that guy won the title.
And by the way, he is going to get his ass kicked by Vicente.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing?
Dude.
It's over.
That guy, he is, like, I could talk about having nothing, like, in common with Diego Sanchez and all this stuff. I think my least favorite UFC fighter ever is Tyron Woodley. Like this guy.
I have never seen a guy that believes that he is owed so much by giving so little.
That's what I'm saying.
Like he became the #1 contender by a guy not making weight.
Yeah, that's right. Because he beat Condit because Condit's leg, like he kicked Condit's leg a bunch, and then he was supposed to have a fight.
Condit tore his ACL.
Right.
And then he got on top of him and finished him off. And then he got to fight. He was supposed to fight Johnny Hendricks in Houston. Yep. I was looking forward to it. And Johnny Hendricks couldn't make weight.
Right. And Woodley didn't fight anyone.
But Tyron Woodley made weight, so they made him basically like the victor.
And then he sat out for like over a year or whatever.
And then he becomes champion. And then it was like nobody was worthy to fight him.
Yeah, he was trying to fight the Diaz brothers.
Like, dude, you got the title shot from a guy that decided not to make weight. Like, what?
Yeah.
And then it's like, I have to fight a Diaz brother or
Connor.
whatever.
GSP.
And then whenever what killed me is when he had that snooze fest of a fight with Damian Maya, and then he said that fans don't need fans like that are upset because they don't know what lateral movement is.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't pay to see your lateral movement. I pay to see a fight, and you didn't want to fight.
Yeah. Yeah, there was all of his interviews. She's very entitled. Like, I mean, I was there in Atlanta.
And then, like, he talked all that trash on Colby.
Yeah.
And he just let Colby whoop his ass.
Yep.
Like 5 rounds, just nothing. He didn't win 1 round. He didn't win 1 round against Burns. He didn't win 1 round against Usman. He didn't win 1 round against Colby. Like, it's over.
Yeah. Yeah, I was there in Atlanta when he knocked out Robbie Lawler, and obviously that was impressive.
Son of a... That made me sick.
And then, yeah.
And Robbie's never been the same since.
Right. And yeah, all the stuff with Woodley it's just so unlikable. Like, I remember he put out his rap album the day after Usman beat him. Like, it was scheduled to be like this big, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna set this up to where, like, I retain the title against Usman, then my album comes out the next day and, like, it's gonna blow up and people are gonna be so stoked on me being the champion, and, like, half the songs are, like, lyrics about him being the world champion and all this stuff. And then it comes out the day after he loses. And then he's doing, like, this stuff. Like, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, there is a scene in a movie, don't know what the movie's called. T.I.'s, like, probably just, he's in the scene. I'm assuming T.I.'s, like, the star of the movie. And Tyron Woodley literally gets his dick mangled and, like, destroyed by a raccoon. Like, that's what his role in the movie is. It's, like, generic henchman number 5 who gets his dick destroyed by a raccoon in front of the bad guys. It was like it's pretty a pivotal role. Yeah, you know? Real top guy over there. Yeah, I mean, I just can't get behind it. It's just bad. You know, he's scrubbed the internet of most of his rap. Like, most of his music videos and stuff, you just can't find it anymore. Like, they've, like, done everything they can to get it off the internet. Because he was just getting roasted so bad by people that, like, he pulled most of his music. Like...
that movie is called Cutthroat City, if you're wanting to watch it.
There you go. It's a real thing. I'm not making this up. Like, it's actually what happens.
Cutthroat City.
So, that's probably a good stopping point.
Yeah, why not? Tyron Woodley getting his stuff smashed by a raccoon.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about our sponsors real quick, and then I'm going to have Doug tell you about, where to find him and all that stuff. So, just real quick, want to let everyone know, WrestleRumble.com. Check it out. Place to be for fantasy pick'em contest for professional wrestling. The Royal Rumble winner got $1,000. The second place person got an NWO WCW replica title. Third place got a white strapped winged eagle WWF title, and they gave away 3 other titles in a raffle too. So a ton of cash, a ton of prizes over there at WrestleRumble.com. Make sure to follow them on Twitter at WrestleRumble to stay up to date with all their contests. Also, shout out to Music City Toys and Collectibles. Me and Doug talked a whole lot about action figures today, and Music City Toys and Collectibles is a place that I get a lot of my stuff. They're really nice people. They'll give you fair business. They do claim sales and live auctions and stuff on their Facebook, and they are opening a physical location in May. So pretty incredible that their business was going so good during the pandemic online that they actually are opening a brick and mortar during this. So I think that's really awesome. And you can check them out on all social media. Just search Music City Toys and Collectibles. And like I said, fair business, good people. They got autographs, DVDs, action figures, old magazines, anything you can think of. And lastly, my brother Brian Jensen, he is a co-owner of Steel Boxing and Athletics, a gym in Atlanta, Georgia. He works with Parkinson's Foundations. He works with pro boxers, amateur boxers, whether you're learning how to throw hands, get in better shape, if you just want to, lose a little bit of weight, learn some self-defense, or if you want to compete, or if you have like a neurological issue or something, Brian's 100% certified to help people of all ages, all shapes, sizes, whatever. It doesn't matter. He can help you reach your goals. And the best way to reach him is to hit him up on Instagram. It's BoxingATL, BoxingATL. hit them up. And just like with all of our sponsors, if you tell them that I sent you their way, or if Jessi sent you their way, or anyone involved in the show, I promise you that they'll give you a really, really, really good deal. My Twitter's Fight Talk _. I'll just keep that updated with all the stuff I've got going on. And Doug, his is All Elite Doug, ALLELITE DOUG 21, and I have his Twitter page up right now. And Doug, please let everyone know, about your videos and kind of the rebrand and all that again before we get out of here.
Cool. Hey, Steve, you see those trophies there in that picture? Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I wish the Vikings had one. That'd be awesome.
No, like I said, I'm kind of rebranding, so it's called Hit You With The Real. And I've covered, just recently, I covered the Ben Askren and Jake Paul fight. I've covered the WWE going to Peacock for the network, and I plan on doing some other stuff. I have done chats with Steve before in those, and I plan on doing other types of chats with other people. I've actually got like a Eagles fan that I'm gonna do one with, and we're gonna call it. We're basically going to just mainly talk about Cowboys and Eagles and the NFL in general, but there's always news for Cowboys and Eagles, and we're gonna be friendly enemies, so I'm gonna cover that on there too. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And I also, I want to welcome people, do other chats, like even the guy for Star Wars. Like I think that's a lot of what YouTube should be, is debate, like just back and forth, and it doesn't have to be everybody that agrees, and just have a fun conversation. So yeah, definitely hit me up on or follow me on YouTube, and if you like my videos, please like them, subscribe, share, all that stuff helps grow the channel. I kind of got to get back in this Google, get Google to promote me again, because back in the day, that's one of the main reasons we took off so much. So like the videos, and I'll keep coming out with more content.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for listening. We've been going for like 3 hours or so, 3.5 hours. I don't even know.
Yeah, something like that. We always do.
But it's always fun. Like we have so much to catch up on every time. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this. Make sure to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you're following on social media, because that's when I usually don't have much of a heads up on like promoting shows. It just kind of depends on schedule and stuff. So if you're subscribed, you get notified. If you're following on Twitter, I try to put links out. And obviously Jessi is at home, very, very busy right now with her family. So I've got kind of a random, guests coming on. I had Doug, I've had some of my other buddies come on, and I've done some solo shows. So just kind of stay tuned to what's going on with this channel right now. And obviously Jessi will be back whenever things settle down a little bit over at her house. So that's going to do it for this episode of whatever you want to call this, Fight Talk, I guess. The audio version will go up tomorrow. So yeah, for Doug, I'm Steven.